So, you know, when I look at players playing Jet on this map, I always just worry that they're going to struggle on one side of the map, and we'll see if that is going to in fact be the case. It looks like we are ready to jump into the action, as it will be BBG who start out on the attack. And the dart goes in long, giving away Effie's position almost. He sends a bullet out to take it out, hides inside the dart cover after the first shot. Missed, but they're going to continue their push up. A couple of shots out from Effie's, and he's backing off, but they've got a double stack currently in Hookah, so there's a lot of backup here with some hardware as well down from PL1, so it kind of flattens out the push. You've still got the lurk on short as well from the attacking side Cypher, but it's just a matter of moments here before we see BBG attack this B site.
You definitely want to make sure for PL1 and for Zelsis that they're going to not get any pressure from Hookah. Control that, secure that, and then they could fight back on that push coming in from Octagon. That's why the flash comes out and they're pushing forward. They even pinch from the teleporter, and Will's in heavy trouble. But at the same time, we're actually not pushing for version 1 inside B. We've fallen all the way back to TP, and we're trying to rush into the A site.
That's a good read. Hearing that portal and knowing exactly what that means. The site is now a little bit light over on A. Player 1 still picks up a kill onto Will. Critical is there with the backup, but in the meantime, BBG has gained access to the U-Haul, and they've got site control as well. Now, they haven't gotten the spike down, and there's still here one player here to contend with, but I love this. The double back, because when you look at the defense, Zelsis is pushed down mid as if this was a guaranteed A play. Critical had him locked into position. They've got time to get that spike down, so now it leaves the defense all over the place trying to go back in for this retake. There's a great shock dart coming out initially to do some fantastic damage, and Zelsis picks off Critical as well. Recon dart going down. Paranoia does come through, but it doesn't slow him down too much. You've still got Vanity chugging along from the back halls, and now it's all down to Effie's in a 1-on-2. Was a 1-on-3, low HP for the two remaining members.
Still doable.
That shot was so incredibly close. The double peek is through, but it doesn't work out so well. And now it's down to just Bure. On the other side of the box, you've got the spike ticking away in sight. Effie's is trying to play this one smart, but Bure's got the 500 IQ play wrapping around the other side. And it will be BBG picking up the pistol round off some creative portal play.
Yeah, and that was very aggressive from Bure. A huge gamble to try to go behind that box. It's a 50-50 from both ends, too, for Effie. So it was a better decision on Bure looking at hindsight of how he played that, so he got the backstab onto his opponent. But the thing is, it was a very good flank that came in from Zelsis, right? Player 1, when he fought those two guys on Sands off that second teleporter that came out, he was able to get one and get information. So Zelsis was looking for that second kill. If maybe he could get that person down, he could actually go for a better flank on A side, but getting a teleporter back allows him to get a better flank onto long B. Thing is though, once he actually got that first kill, everybody's already set up inside the B site for BBG, and they had that crossfire set up too. But again, still very winnable because they were low on HP, which means this is a low buy, at least for both of these teams on the second round.
Shotguns in full effect here. As
where I say I'm not scared.
For version 1, you know, a lot of firepower in that shotgun. There's the jump peek from player 1 to get the intel. Cybercage goes down, wants to cross. A little bit hesitant to at first. The spam does come in late, but he manages to escape without taking any damage. And off that early intel, BBG's going to back off and head towards the B site. You've still got Bure lurking as Cypher. Deep Cybercage goes out to try to glue them to the site, and look what it's done. It pulled 4 players over to A. Now you can see the rotate is already underway as the Raze is starting to rotate back through from spawn. And does get there in time for the take, but they're on the site by the time he peeks out from spawn. So this is well played again from BBG. And they put version 1 off kilter, off balance, and they take advantage.
Yeah, it was very well done there for BBG. The idea for V1 at that point was you saw from player 1's perspective, like, look at his utility right now. He never placed any trap wires early into the round or whatnot. It was going to be meant to be more reactionary. Once they figure out if BBG were going to work towards this A site, when he got first contact, it's like, okay, I'm going to try to hold him back. I slow him down with the cyber cage. We're going to gamble for version 1 with these Buckies that hopefully, if BBG are going to continue to push forward, then you could actually fight back with the shotguns on close range battles, for example, in U, and also around the APC. But so far, this is 2 rounds where BBG are just able to read that correctly and use the teleports in their favor. So you're going to have to start looking out for that for version 1 in the further rounds to try to find more utility to just prevent BBG from getting so much map control just from these fast rotates from the teleporters.
I just thought of the worst dad joke on earth. I can't even do it to you. Rarkar with the quick snipe on the knives. And he wants to keep it going. There's one hiding inside the smoke. It's a little bit dangerous. Vanity was waiting there with arms wide open, and he goes in for a nice hug. Eliminates the jet threat, but the site's been lost. It will be a 4-on-4 post plant. Again, this is a bonus round here for BBG coming in with heavy SMGs. Vanity from range wants to take advantage of the rifle, and I'll have a little bit of extra leverage over these SMGs. Will playing inside U-Haul. They're playing trap setups right now. Good utility to try to flush Will out, but he actually manages to catch him off guard. Now V1 has turned it back around and brought it into a 2-on-2. The shots from Effie's rain true, and there is the long-range shock dart. 1, make it 2. Do they hit? It does pull him off the spike for the time being, but they got it to halfway, and he just can't quite line up the SMG. It does not connect. Version-1 survive inside a dark cover and win their first buy round.
Inches away from getting that kill. That was so close for him to get that clutch on a 2 versus 1, but Version-1 showing that difference, right? From having Rarkar still, as that Jet, going for Blade Storm on a bonus round is still very good because you saw how much space he was able to create for BBG. He pushed Version-1 all the way back towards spawn to allow Version-1 to get the spike plant and also good angles with the submachine guns to try to play those off angles. But the thing is, on the other end, if you don't have a Jet for Version-1 but you're still playing 2 duelists, well, that flash from Zelsis was just perfect for them to get those retakes also towards you. So it made some close range battles in the advantage of Version-1, instant kills onto BBG, and to come in for the defuse. But again, another round where only a couple of players survive for Version-1, so they're once again on a low buy. You already have Penny only with the Spectre at this point, and could be in a situation if they lose, they might go back on an eco already.
You want to hear the bad dad joke now?
I mean, if you're really stuck to it, you gotta say it, yeah?
What do members of BBG call website links?
What?
BBG girls. Get it? BBG URLs. I'll see myself.
I lost you, man. Maybe I'm too boomer. No, I'm too boomer for that joke.
Come on now. My goodness.
But URL links?
Yeah, it's just a dumb joke.
Yeah.
Right.
But we got some good counters, at least from Vanity. This is going out, sorry, from Effie's with that Hunter's Fury, so they did hear a bit of a push coming in from BBG onto the attacker side, but he actually went for the Hunter's Fury before the spike even went down, so you're really trying to create that space to allow Version-1 to go for such a quick retake here.
Position given away, but it doesn't matter. Vanity bested by Poach.
Ooh.
The hot hands actually land short. Zelsis intended for that one to go into the showers, but it gets stuck on the box on the backside of the APC. It's a 1-on-3 for Zelsis. Still has Blaze Ball. Recon Dart does make things a little bit more awkward. Can't peek just yet. Has to wait for that third pulse. Now has an opportunity to sneak out, but they're just set up in such good positions, and he knows he has to deal with his player in showers, and it's well played from Critical, backing off further and further, forcing Zelsis to take that fight. BBG respond after losing that first buy round to Version-1, and you mentioned it, the money was abysmal for V1, and they're back down to the territory they were in round 2. You got a shotgun in Vanity's hand, but it's going to be pistols for everyone else.
It's exactly the position that you want to be in for BBG right now, right? By winning that round, you have an opportunity to really run away with this half, maybe for 1, possibly 2 more rounds. You just can't fall into the trap of how Version-1 are playing with this Buckies. And again, the one that I'm afraid the most with this Bucky is Vanity. So you want to look where he's playing. He's playing inside on the hookah. They're going for a crossfire setup towards that hookah at the same time with Penny, and they're also forcing a lot of players into B. So what they're trying to do here with player 1, get information, trying to force them through that teleporter again, but that owl drone's already going to spot enough information.
Penny just can't really do much there. Blind and shock darted. Vanity taken down to the best HP possible in the game. Oh, there you go. They are going to still double up in the hookah area.
I don't need to be a boomer to get those jokes. That's pretty funny.
I thought that other joke was funny, but I'm old. It's funny. Look at player 1 right now. Hiding in plain sight, inside a cyber cage and a dark cover. They're staring at it, though, and somehow the shotgun from point-blank range is not enough to stop them. Now, there is a hot hands down. Zelsis is trying to get around the corner with what little he's got. He's got Rarkar, who went over the top rope, flying up above the APC. And now it's all down to Mr. Shotgun. Vanity with the Bucky in hand. 5 players on the opposite side. There's a potential kill there on Critical, but realistically speaking, he's just setting up for exits and hoping for the best.
That's right. You just see him dancing back and forth. Should I save this gun? Should I not save? It's only 1,000 credit if I save. That's why he's like dancing around, and he's like, should I waste also some credits to use a shadow step, to go through that trap wire? He's like, screw it. I'm just going to break that trap wire, see what happens, see if I can get one on the exit. It doesn't happen. And this is where, finally, you have your money right after 5 rounds being played for Version 1. You almost wanted to bring an operator out, but they're deciding otherwise here for Version 1. They want to play with the rifles because it's still some very fast plays from BBG right now. 4-1 on the scoreline, and they continue to build this economy up here for the attacker side. You could see it. They're good to buy another 1 or 2 rounds, which is why I'm saying they could really run away with this first half if they want to.
You know, there was that small amount of doubt. Hey, what's going to happen with Rarkar? How's he going to handle playing the Jet? So far, so good.
Yep.
8 kills, top of the chart for BBG. It's always a coin toss, I feel like, on this map. Like, even some good Jets just don't transition well to bind. It's a strange beast. There's the ult coming out as the Hunter's Fury is looking for some damage to deal. Trying not to hit his own teammates as Penny goes vertical with the blast pack. Rocket's going to go out. No damage dealt from the Showstopper. Tries to escape inside a dark cover. No escape to be had, so it's actually a 2-on-2. Good pickups from BBG. And they've got portal control as well. You can see they've already rotated and pulled players away, but there's still so much utility here. There was a tripwire down, camera there as well, and a cyber cage, and off the back of that, they're going to say, you know what, let's just get out of here. We'll go back to A, and we'll play it off on that side. And since they lost the cam as well, they don't have any intel left outside of the fact that they're not hearing anything.
Yep,
so
they lost
you can see the
Aldrin
pullback now, and it's going to be a plant on the A site retake in that territory. Or is it?
Oh my. I'm telling you, they're going to keep using this teleporter for BBG. This is what I'm telling you about. You had to try to figure it out for Version 1. The camera worked. They wasted on an owl drone for Version 1 at the same time, but now finally, we're going to get enough. We're going to get this fight towards B.
Well, now you're starting to wonder if that was a mistake. Maybe if they would have been better off elsewhere. They both come through from spawn. Will wasn't ready for the second player. It was a great shot on the lead man. Version 1 wins another round, but look at what it cost them. Again, it's an expensive round. So you can see their money. It's not in a good place. They're going to have to rifle light armor. SMGs coming out yet again. Whereas the opposite side, full armor rifles. So they've got Version 1 right where they want them. When they let them win a round, and I'm not saying they're doing it on purpose, but when they do allow them that round, they don't allow them to win it easily. You know, they're taking it down to 1 player and forcing Version 1 into these just terrible situations with their credits.
And you see where Zelsis is currently positioned, towards that A cubby. He wants to try to play that close angle, try to get a kill. If he gets a kill and he dies, he's got the ult for the next one, where he could potentially go for something with the run it back with a rifle round later on into the round. So they don't spot any information, but they leave the showers open. So this is going to be a dangerous lurk right now that Bjork could take advantage of into the A site.
Good early kills coming out from Version 1 as they are decimating BBG. We were talking about how economic control was a potential problem. This is how you stop it. 5 players currently alive, 2 remaining on the opposite side. The hot hands goes out. Nice flash coming in as well. A little bit late on the flash there, and that's what allows Rarkar in that position, but it still almost worked out for Zelsis. It'll be Effie's through the box with the connection from short. A 3rd round for Version 1, and they did it with multiple players surviving. So now you can see some of that money start to blossom and build up. They are going to have to drop over. That's going to come from PL1, so player 1 drops for Zelsis, but promising territory, a good move.
I like it from Version 1, though. You're playing the mind games with the teleporter just like BBG did to you, right? Because BBG's not getting enough information towards short A. They didn't know how many players actually were stacking towards that short A side. So hearing 2 players run across the teleporter, like, oh, A side should maximum have 0 players, 1 player maybe in an off angle on a rotation already. They take the teleporter back into the A side because they think the side's clear from where Bjor is running. And there you go. Zelsis gets the backstab and the kill onto him as Bjor was trying to take the U side control. So that's the run it back that's ready and popped up for Zelsis into this round. They have a Hunter's Fury as well, so they're in a great position, at least for the defense, to play that retake in case Will and Rarkar want to get something done here with their own ultimates.
Paranoia comes out and actually blinds the drone, but not before a dart was delivered. Ults being used all over the place as Will flies into position with the showstopper. There's a Hunter's Fury come out that does get a kill for Effys. Zelsis and PL1 both getting involved in the action. Bjor fires back. It's a 2-on-3. Positions revealed. Spike in possession of the attacking side of BBG. Bjor just moves out a little bit too far, but it's Critical to line him up. And now Critical is in a 1-on-2. But remember, that portal play, they've done it so many times, so you can see that Penny isn't willing to give them control. Penny is going back towards mid. So if Penny goes back toward bottom mid, and here's that portal play, there's a chance for an easy kill, but it's not going to be the case. Critical decides to stick it towards the site. Does Critical anticipate the flank? That will be the question.
The thing is, the recon dart's already been shot out, right? So Critical is going to play with no information whatsoever. Same thing for Penny, though. So much time has been wasted where he doesn't know where Critical is hiding, so he's just going to have to gamble inside you, and it's working.
Oh, no, the timing. Does he look back? No, not going to happen today. Penny is there, and Critical gets blindsided by the shot. Penny goes for the long play. I actually really like that play in general from Penny because of how active BBG has been with those portals, constantly flashing between both sites. So playing towards mid, it allows you to catch Critical, making his way through the doors, thinking it's free and clear, not realizing someone's already sitting in mid waiting for you. And it gives you the flank potential on the retake. Well played.
Yep, from his position at Sands, if it happened that Critical wanted to take the teleporter, he had a great angle. Now after a plant, he's on a big flank where Critical doesn't get information, so well done there. But you saw it from how it was played, right? I said that a lot of ultimates were going to be used. Exactly those four were used from Will, Rarkar, Zelsis, and Effys, respectively. And I like how Vanity just sat there to eat that rocket inside you. Like, he didn't really react, but by shooting that rocket, you're keeping Will close into you, where that running back from Zelsis allowed for him to push forward to get the kill off the Hunter's Fury from Effys.
I don't love this. Zelsis just keeps on chugging. He's just slow walking his way down.
Okay.
And he walks into dark cover and spots a jet waiting for him. Now, there is a trade there, but I didn't love it. To be fair, I didn't love it because of what we knew that they didn't. That there were a lot of players sitting on the other side waiting for him. It's a risky play that doesn't pan out.
At least it's Hunter's Fury down, no utility to try to get into a site, right? So you're just going to have to satchel charge, jet dash if you want to work into the B site, which looks to be the case for Version-1 from their position at Hookah and Octagon.
Smoke's going down, a port coming in from Vanity as well to get him onto the backside of site. Again, Bjor is on the lurk. Expect to see that a lot. This is somewhat of a standard setup here for BBG on the attack. Multiple players towards B and Bjor lurking on short.
Yeah.
So you've got the Cypher duel on A, but you've got a 3-on-3 over on the B site.
It's a stalemate.
Difference
it's even.
Is the the key difference is that the defense has that Sova, whereas the attacking side has Rarkar playing Jet. Oh, Penny just gets ballsy, pushing through and catches them completely off guard. Vanity has to wait for that nade to dissipate before porting across. Does manage to escape, but Will heard the sound and knows that he's probably inside the tube. And Will's got the double. Now porting away to grab the spike. He goes for that satchel charge, I should say. A nade down just to guarantee time to plant. Really well played from Will. And now it's player one in the 1-on-2.
I don't know what happened right there. That's a couple of rounds where Version-1 has a good upper hand, and then just one player turns it around for BBG and gives the advantage. This is going to be tough for player one now because we have great crossfire positioning on a post plan for Built by Gamers.
Penny's play was both good and bad at the same time. Like, it worked and it didn't. It just put them in awkward territory. But that said, Vanity's play should have worked out so much better, but they had no intel for that player on site. So when Vanity goes for the port across inside tube, they don't realize that Will is already right there, ready to pounce on either side. So he takes the wrong side of the 50-50, and it doesn't work out. Here was Penny's play. I mean, going out wide, getting damage, setting Vanity up for that kill. But it was really down to Will, who found 2 quick kills and brought it down to this. And player one spots the top of the head of Bjor jumping over the boxes inside Hookah. And by the time he realizes what's happening, he turns around, tries to shoot, and you get the peek from long. It's a third for Will on that B-side.
Oh no, player one missed his camera, so he has to fall back from that. He got recon guarded at the same time. He was trying to spot if there's going to be pressure towards showers. He only spotted one from a boom bot, but when he peeks right here, just spotted them both. That was close, yeah.
Yeah, he got lucky because it looked like Sova was getting set up with utility.
Correct.
So he ultimately caught one player still peeking. That could have gone so much worse for him. But Player one is the one player on low hardware. All right, you take those. The blind shot into the smoke works out nicely for player one. Now there is a response from Critical by way of the ultimate. Hunter's Fury getting success and opening up the A site. Spike's been planted. You do have 4 rifles for the remaining players of version 1. Player 1 was the only player who was somewhat hamstrung on the round. The cam from Bure is spotting the flank. It's really well set up. They are heavily stacked right now towards U-Haul, with the exception of Critical. If he gets here in time, doesn't quite best Zelsis, and now things get awkward. They got uncomfortable. Shock dart around the corner. It's right on the money. It's all up to Poach, who has managed to get to the backside of the APC. Picks off the first, and there's low HP on the remaining members. This is totally winnable for Poach. It's all going to come down to timing on these peaks. And he swings just a little bit too wide. Catches both players.
I don't think he has time.
It's close. Oh! 0.23.
Man, the thing is with version 1 for me right now is that they're looking very good with the rifles, the anchors, the way that they play, but there's just sometimes mid-round or something where they're not checking the 50s or there's miscommunication, because I've seen the same thing on that previous series that they played versus Envy, where they were trying to hurdle up a couple of rounds here on Haven, and then, wow, they don't check a corner. Victor gets 2 kills with a Sheriff. Now I feel like I'm seeing the same thing here for version 1 in these post plants or on these retake attempts for the team that just costs them dearly right now and allows BBG to take this lead by 2. But again, this is why I say this matchup is going to be close. You're going to need better communication to fight against a team like BBG right now that got that upset versus Sentinels.
There's that aggressive play on long yet again. Somehow, Effys gets the Sheriff under control. You gotta watch out for those rockets. They've been really good for Will, who gets caught off guard, though. Will wasn't prepared for Penny, who was backside, couldn't get the rifle out in time. Penny's holding a corner, but not gonna get a chance to fire as a shock dart comes in from range. Critical bailing out the team, eliminating that threat. It'll be a 2-on-3. Vanity's got a Bucky, no surprise there. You've got player 1 currently on the flank with a Sheriff. Vanity's going to be the one that has to at least keep him distracted for the time being while you wait for player 1 to get into position coming all the way up long.
And this is what you want from BBG too, right? Look at where they're positioning. They're not trying to get more map control by pushing Spawn, by pushing out Hookah. They just want to play inside the site, but this is a big flank from Vanity.
How? They should have heard the weapon drop. He swapped from the Bucky. Oh, no, because he would have picked up the Bucky. He just would have picked up the rifle.
Yeah.
No.
They would have heard the Bucky drop, yeah.
They would have heard that. What am I thinking? I'm thinking Shorty. I'm thinking Shorty, and they wouldn't have heard it because it's secondary, but they would have heard the pickup. So somehow, they're just not aware that that player is back hall. They're not paying attention to that or to Elbow, really.
Yeah.
They kind of gave them free control, so Vanity could have been a serious threat there had he been able to find that second kill. But still, catching a freebie with the player just looking the wrong direction made it a little bit more possible.
Yeah. And what I meant to say too from BBG not pushing more into these sites was due to the fact that they know that in this position version 1 will have Buckies, right? So you don't want to run into these off angles close range from the spawn side, from elbow side. So playing out in the open, I think it's totally fine. You had the Bermuda Triangle set up there for BBG. Yes, a slight mistake, but at least you still had a numbers advantage to allow you to get this round. So moving into the last round of the first half, though, you do have 4 ults, and the ults have been very good for version 1. They have a potential to bring this to a 7-5.
Vanity with a fake port. Costs him his life as he comes out the other side. Bjork goes for the peek. A little bit over-aggressive, though, as you did have Zelsis and a teammate waiting by his side. Again, presence towards B, and we're seeing a similar double hookah setup that we've seen from them before. Now, this drone coming out from hookah might bait them into position, and if they spot the Cypher there, they're going to know there's 2 in here. Definitely. And they're going to go for this pinch. That's a great paranoia as well. It blinds Will, but it doesn't matter. He just flies into position with the satchel charge and completely obliterates the defense inside hookah. And now it's their site to take. The only one present is Zelsis. He had the ult, giving him a little bit of extra fighting time. But the site's been taken, the spike's been planted.
Yeah, this is pretty much going to be not doable now with 3-on-1 for a Zelsis. I mean, he's gotten 1 down. He's got a bit of utility left. He still has a curveball. He's going to have to go for a reload very soon. Gets the wall bang, though. This is really good. Now, somehow, Zelsis might be able to save this. Are we Zelsis?
Good play from BBG. Good setup. Flash comes out. Even if it did blind one of the players, the second one was there with the backup. It's an 8-4 half. Much more promising for BBG than maybe I would have expected, given how that last series played out, and given how well version 1 had played in that series against Envy earlier.
Yeah.
chain logic, man, it doesn't work.
You had 4 ults on that last round, right? For version 1, you're only able to use 1, which was Zelsa's run it back. And I think the smallest mistake that cost him dearly for version 1 was the fact that Effys actually threw an owl drone out of hookah. So that was like, oh my god, there's actually one player in there. Let's just throw a paint shell from Will onto the sands, and it catches player 1 off guard. So if they just kept their angles and just try to watch that with their rifles, maybe it could have been different at that point, where they could have maybe used their ults a little bit better, which is why also I'm questioning why Effys was playing with the Hunter's Fury ready inside hookah. Nonetheless, though, we're resetting on the second half, and it's going to be version 1 that's going to take these first bloods.
Somehow Poach flies into all of that and gets the jumping classic. Again, not down to the magical HP number. It's not W. Zelsis going to find one more on the push-up short with Vanity by his side. They reduce it down to Bjor, who's rotating over from the B site. Bjor coming through from vents. The frenzy doesn't work out so well for them. 4 players survive. The only one falling was Penny, and that was early on in the round due to the aggression that came out. But the aggression didn't work out so well for this defensive side, and version 1 kicks things off in the second half exactly like you'd like to see them.
Yep.
Speaking specifically of Penny, that's a player that I really want to see step up here in the second half. When you look at the comparison between Penny and Will, you have a character like Raze, and that agent is just designed to deal damage. So when your Raze is not hitting high numbers, it is slightly concerning because you rely on those paint shells and obviously that ult to do a lot of entry work. And we saw that a lot with Will as that first half progressed.
Yeah, mechanically, Will is one of those great players for VBG. I think he's a great addition right now for this team, for this roster. Now you're looking back here where you have a chance to shine for Penny because you do have the attacker side on your end. So let's see if it pays off once we move into the further rounds here of the second half. They do have a 1-minute advantage for version 1, and they also have a split into the A side with only one player that's about to get knocked down. And there you go.
The attacking side does gain access to A. 3 players remain on the defensive side of VBG. And they're not even scared of these shotguns, as the shot that comes out from Bjor's shotty isn't even on the mark, and neither is the one from Rarkar, doing a whopping 8 armor, 3 damage to Zelsis with the shorty from pretty close distance. It will be the second round for version 1. They survive with high numbers, which again just means lots of money piling up in the bank accounts as they move into the first buy round. This will give them a serious bonus potential, whereas on the opposite side, you've got Bjor, who spent money on that Bucky in that last round. He's forced to go down to a Bulldog, so it's not going to be as strong of a round from him, and also his utility is going to suffer. Big problem if you're playing Cypher. 1 tripwire, no cages.
They also have a run it back ready. I know it's a bonus round for version 1, but this could be a great opportunity for them to try to run it back towards the A side and force a rotation out for the rest of the teams that do have stronger rifles. I guess it's just Penny right now to work towards this B side. And as I say that, they just get the kills with the SMGs without that run it back. So that's already a big advantage for version 1 by taking that showers control.
So Bjor, because Bjor doesn't have tripwires and cyber cages, feels like he has to maybe take a more aggressive stance. He tries to go aggressively for control of showers, and it backfires. He ends up falling, and now the A site is in this weird state. You see some aggression pan out nicely early on as damage is dealt to Effys. He's down onto 2 HP.
This is good, though. I think you're going to have PL1 just lurk around, keep them busy on the A side, then the run it back goes into B. If they're going to have Effys maybe go for an owl drone, there you go. He's going to spot it towards long B. He's going to spot the jet at least, and that might be the cue for them to work out from hookah now.
Look at what player 1's doing. Player 1 snuck past the Omen, who was on site. I'm not sure how he was able to pull this one off. There was a cyber cage down, and I'm pretty sure Poach was inside it, and he just walked past him and got the backstab kill on the player on site. That left Poach scratching his head, wondering what was going on. They know there's one player over on A, and the only threat here is going to be critical. So it's a 4-on-1. I know it doesn't seem like it. Effys is barely there, but he's still alive with 2 HP, still kicking. Great damage being dealt currently. One player sitting high. That's going to be Vanity, who's at 90 HP, and he goes into the corner, spotted out by Poach. But Poach really can't do much to flush him out of this position. Doesn't have a paranoia, doesn't have a smoke. All he's got is the TP, and he fakes it just like Vanity did and decides to back away. It will be version 1's round as they bring things closer to tie point.
Yep. So the battle of the Sentinels continues here towards the A side. Player one's taking the upper hand. Like I said, keep them busy towards that A side and have that run it back into B. Clearing that space to allow Version-1 to get into that B side and a plant. Critical can't do much at that point because he's playing from elbow. He can't really run out and try to get a couple of kills. He can only punish on mistakes. And he kind of did onto one player that was on hookah, but that was it. That was information given right there. The trade was perfect for Version-1, and it was actually a great round for them to win on a bonus. I think just getting that run it back use on a bonus round is totally fine because with the way that Zilsis has been fragging on the second half, we'll probably see another run it back in the next 2 rounds.
This is a nice spot.
Didn't really see a high success rate for Zilsis with the ult on the first half, but I feel like it'll lend itself a little bit better to the way he wants to play on attack. You will have a double setup in hookah. You can see there's Raze and Omen both playing this position. Boombot's going to go out, and Will wants to peek off that. Now, early peek does give some intel, but there's a lot of players moving up long currently. Luckily, the players in hookah are able to escape to try to back them up. With the way they're set up currently, they're banking that this could be a fall-off or a portal play, so they're starting to pull Critical away from the site. It's the right call. They're not fully committed just yet. They've backed off just a bit. But
So
they're
scary.
still hanging around towards mid.
It's so scary. I think no matter whether they go towards short A or short B, they're going to be met up with some sort of judge or a Bucky. So very dangerous right now. Let's see if Poach could actually get something done. Oh, he got paranoid. That's good map control now for Version-1.
It was a great use of his paranoia to try and buy some time to blind out the drone. It's a nice shot from the Bucky into the chest of Zelsis as well. But Poach is barely hanging on. Now the drone comes out from spawn, gives away the position. There's Critical with a great shot onto player one. But they're starting to leak out of hookah. They're trying to back off it just a bit, but they continue to commit. They got a kill on a flanking player coming through from Portal. But time is becoming a rush A. Now.
And if they want to rush A, there's a judge.
Seconds. Yeah.
That's
they
the
have
scary
to make up
part.
their minds. And you've got this player in Sova who might just catch the timing right, rotating between both sites. Pull! As you can see, Penny fly through the sky. BBG has Will ready and willing to take him out. And it's the first round on the board here for BBG in this second half as they make it work with subpar hardware. There were shotguns in the mix in combination with the rifles, but it all comes together, and now things get interesting. This is the first round we've seen op buys from either team.
And more surprisingly, that you have the op going out on the attacker side too. And from the way that Vanity's set up, he wants to try to take that showers control. But if you have an Omen that's placing those smokes down towards that shower side, I mean, he's a little bit too far right now for Poach, so it's not going to happen. So it's just going to be an op battle out towards showers. Let's see how this pans out.
It's a patience game. How patient is Rarkar going to be? How wide is he going to swing? And yeah, that's what Jet does. The shot is there. He beats Vanity in the punch and has the getaway as well. It's possible that Version-1 was trying to prevent what just happened by going for that off purchase to begin with, knowing that Rarkar had the money. But it doesn't pan out so well for them, as they've been reduced down to 3.
I would have liked to see the opposite. I would have liked to see Penny, because he'd have paint shells and a boombot, and then have Zelsis work towards short A. Like that, if they actually want to take U control, you could get a blaze wall to come out at the same time. So Rarkar did a great job to punish that.
You're still in position. Again, cutting them down. They have managed to put a player into U-Haul, and somehow that player has gotten
Big flank
through into spawn. So there is a massive flank. Oh, that's unfortunate. Penny is forced to fire. Now there's a potential portal play here, where you could send Eppies into port, but they want to keep fighting towards A. Nice nade coming out. That'll force back the Jet threat. And they'll go ahead and get that spike planted on the opposite side. Where's the second pulse go? It's right where it needs to be. And it's all come down to this. The one-on-one player of Penny being the one that we talked about, wanting to see step up here in this second half, and it's a big round for Penny. 4 kills on the round, no less, as Version-1 barely survives, but it's another win on the scoreboard. Again, keeping that lead as small as possible, trying to force us to tie point.
Yeah, that's another round where for BBG, you're asking yourselves in your comms, how did he slip through? Because the first time, player one did it when they took the attacker side for version 1 on the A site. This time it's the same thing. Penny did the same thing, pushing all the way towards spawn. How do you get through that? How do you get behind enemy lines and I guess the defensive line actually to get that first kill? That opened up so much because you already had such a great flank from Critical towards short A, but losing that player, losing in second one, getting the paint shells into showers worked out great. So although Warcard punished 2 great kills at the beginning, Penny did a great job to save it there for version 1.
We wanted to see Penny step up, and that's exactly what we got. Penny now second behind Zelsis, and the damage is creeping up quickly. Exactly what one would hope to see. As they go for a triple peek on long, he gotta get away as the nade comes through, but Vanity's port doesn't get him away in time. So Vanity's actually taken out of the equation pretty quickly. And now we find ourselves at a 5-on-4 numbers advantage for BBG. It looks like the HUD is stuck. We'll get that fixed as soon as possible. But trust us, it is a 5-on-4. As the play starts coming through, good spot out as well on Rarkar. You've got Bjor hiding inside Cyber Cage, trying to deal some extra damage. The rocket's going to scare him away, and it scares him right into the path of Zelsis, who is waiting on the other side. So it comes down to this. It's a 3-on-3 post-plant scenario on the A site. Critical is rocking a shotgun. Zelsis has popped the ult, run it back, used maybe a little prematurely, but it's fine. It does net the first one. Wants to follow up with a second, not going to have enough time on that ult.
Or at least the information that there's one player there, and Poach just shot the owl drone from heaven. So great shots coming in from version 1. They've been very good to take over these sites with their ultimates, right? We're looking at the run it back from Zelsis. A couple of rounds to go towards B. The showstopper from Penny, this time another run it back for Pulse Plants. BBG don't really have an answer to this right now. I think they were able to capitalize very well on mistakes that were done from version 1 in terms of watching each other's backs. But now that version 1 seems a little bit more tight-knit rather on their executions towards the A or B side rather on this map on the attacker side, they're playing it very well here. We have a chance to maybe tie things up for the attackers.
It is tied, isn't it?
True.
Is it close to tied, or is it tied?
I don't even know anymore. We'll figure it out once we see team 1 wins.
I'm trying to remember. I feel like it should be tied. I think the score did not update as part of the issue we had in that last round. We'll find out momentarily as Effie's guns down 2 and a third as well for version 1. Yeah. They are cutting them to pieces right now. Yeah, it should be 9-9.
Yeah.
So version 1 is currently in a position where they're going to take the lead here and have that 10-9 lead. I'm trying to remember the last time in this game they would have had the lead. It would have been a long time ago, if at all.
Yeah, and that hat that was thrown out was perfect, too. I mean, to get the round, to take the upper hand. Now they take the lead, right, as you just mentioned, Buck. And at the same time, this should be technically low economy, too, for BBG. I have a feeling that they did use the Blade Storm on that previous round, so they won't have it into this next round for BBG. So things are looking a little bit more difficult for BBG on their defender side, and it just continues how they want to pressure on this map control for version 1, and it's paying off quite well in their favor. I think, again, as I said, when they're trying to work a little bit of utility towards showers, they got punished, but for the rest, they're able to at least save those mistakes.
All right, it looks like we got the updated score there, so hopefully things will be working for us here. 10-9. As you can see that drone flying into position. There's the ult being used very early on. Hunter's Fury not really landing anything, so no damage, no intel. Meanwhile, a nade is pulled, the pin is ready and out. Oh man, that flash could have been so good for Poach as Will flies into position. Should have spotted that second player, so knows there's one more here. Not prepared for Effie's, who's coming up from short, but Effie's is the only one left standing. It's a great round so far. Effie's again has portal control, could get through that port and go back towards B and go for a plant. But again, that's what we know, that's not what he knows. And now his time, his window has kind of disappeared as he's got Bjor ready on the flank. And he doesn't have escape potential through spawn either with the players in shower positioned the way that they are.
If he actually plays this right and is able to get the kill onto Cypher on that flank, oh no, he's about to get peeked. He's dead. He's dead. So in fact, I was going to say, if he actually did get that kill onto Bjor, that's all the utility down on that B side, right? As much as we would want him to take the teleporter towards the B side, there was trap wires, there was cameras. It was going to be very difficult for FVs to try to win that 3 versus 1 on the B side should he take the teleporter. So that crucial kill had to come in against Bjor, and Bjor just played it very patiently to just look towards the APC instead of wide peeking into you, because the rest of the players were already looking towards the back of the site. There was no way, basically, that Effies would have been able to lurk back towards the back of the site to head through spawn towards B. So well done for them to keep things slow for BBG on that 3 versus 1, play that numbers advantage, and that was all thanks to that paranoia to showstopper combo on short A that denied all the plans.
There's the threat of Rarkar on the op. We saw it previously and what it did. Nice paranoia, but no one's actually visible for them to do anything about it. And then Penny is there, able to catch a freebie. Now sure, the trade comes in, but curious how that was even allowed to happen. As Penny just jumps up on the ledge from hookah and spots the player coming out from long. Got a 4-on-3, and Poach is right around the corner, but not able to win against Zelsis. Bjor still on site. Zelsis looking for that tripwire, couldn't quite find it. You've got a 3-on-2. The numbers are in favor of BBG. Clock is there. So Version-1 has time to play with, but Zelsis through the aluminum can on site, able to gun down Bjor, and now we're going to see that portal play. The problem is that Rarkar is in a really good spot for this. So Rarkar just has to listen in closely and make sure he hears both sets of footsteps coming through from showers. Paying attention more towards the backside. There's a great blaze wall to allow Vanity to get across. And the spike will go down momentarily. It's all going to come down to this. Does he hit a shot here on Vanity? He sees the barrel sweeping out, but there's the port.
It's on bench, though, so sorry. Rarkar knows that it's going to be on the bench, and there's that second player spotted. Hard for Vanity to win now.
Maybe not. Maybe not. He's got to smoke as well. You can see the fly-in move from Rarkar. He's got to close the distance and close it quick. Goes to the sidearm and does end up closing out the round. It was a nice quick shot on that player Heaven that made it possible. Again, because of his position, he can kind of isolate the one-on-ones. With the player in Heaven and the player coming up short, he can hug that corner. But this was huge. These kills through the wall were what really solidified things for both teams. For a second, it was looking possible because Zelsis finds the kill on B through Tuna, and then you have the player Heaven who gets obliterated after his teammate Showers falls. Vanity goes for that swing and almost turns it around. Still a close game. 1 round separating these two teams and a full buy coming out from both sides.
Advantage, though, in terms of utility on the defense. So BBG in a good spot to get at map point, but they're actually using a Hunter's Fury right off the get-go just to try to see if they could pick somebody off here from the towel side onto short A. But that's no information, but good enough information, right? No pulses mean they're working towards this B side. Nobody's rotating out here from the B side for BBG. But as Version-1 sees those pulses come through, they're like, okay, well, maybe they're going to keep those players towards that B side. Let's work back towards A and see if we can get something done. Owl drones start to look for information. It's not going to spot anybody yet, so they might think that there's nobody working towards the A site. They might get caught, but not from that one-way smoke.
Nice paranoia coming out to try and slow them down. There's Poach going for the peek. And follow-up kills coming in as well. We've got 3 players remaining, but they're fighting to try and gain control of this site still. Zelsis gets a kill coming out of Showers onto Critical. We're at a 4-on-3. They've got the spike up on site, but there's no one there to help. So Effies is playing this one very carefully because there could be players coming from multiple angles. Poach, is going to get spotted going for that swing. There's a hot hands coming down, backside default. Pure wants to go for the swing. There's a curveball coming in towards U-Haul. There's the fight happening. The spike's been dropped, and that's the big problem. We were talking about it before, right? There wasn't really much cover for the spike carrier in this scenario. And all of that creative portal play that we saw from BBG in the first half, we're not seeing as much of that from Version-1. And scenarios like that, where maybe it would benefit them, given how many players were just stacked on that side of the site. and it's allowed BBG to get 12 rounds.
Yeah, and I'd like to see Version 1 start working for these orbs on both A and B. I mean, it's technically a little bit easier to grab these orbs on the attacker side if you smoke deep enough, if you use utility right, because you could actually prop up an ult for Penny and for Zelsis. But instead, they're just looking for potentially some way to explode into Hookah and get those entries instead. Maybe try to catch BBG off guard.
Now you've got your back against the wall if you're Version 1, and the choice of attack is just fast.
Yep.
Charging into the B site, and it backfires. BBG will take map 1. Yeah, it's an interesting switch up there that puts Penny in the position of Jet. You've got Reyna coming in instead of Phoenix for Zelsis, and then player 1, Vanity and Effie stay with the agents they played on the previous map. Things mostly the same for the other side, with the exception of Will, who is now playing Phoenix instead of Raze, but it's a quick pick from Will, who had the hot hand, no pun intended, based on his current agent selection in that first map. I mean, he looked so incredibly good as Raze, topping the charts as well for the team. And it will be a quick pick that comes out for them early that eliminates the threat of Penny playing as a Jet. So we'll have to wait and see what kind of effect Penny on the Jet is going to have.
Little things too. You noticed Rogcar a couple of seconds ago. He had a classic in his hand, so he dropped it on the ground so he could pick it up, get a pick towards Garage if he can. If not, picks up the shorty so he could play close range. And now potentially he picks up the classic again because the hit is happening towards the A site now for the attackers of Version 1.
Smokes down on short, and it looks like they want to just go past it. Will, not really scared of the fact that he's low on HP. You've got player 1 around the corner who is also low, has to take the battle with the retreating Poach. You've still got the Frenzy on site. That's critical in position. Zelsis coming around the corner, has the heal, making a follow-up as well. Zelsis now, with that heal on Reyna, can be so scary based on the way he played in that first map. And a great port with the dark cover as well to get that spike across. Zelsis is in prime position here. 1, maybe 2. Yes, it's going to be the 4K. Zelsis locks it down in pistol for Version 1.
We are Zelsis. Get your hashtags out there. He definitely helped the team for Version 1 save that round for the attacker side too. Yes, it was a low HP player for Will walking down towards the sewers, but they had numbers advantage. They had a perfect setup for a crossfire. And look at how this moves too. Like, I love when players are working together, walking through the smoke so that you're keeping your crossfire placement and a gamble just a little bit off for your opponents because you might be able to get a kill. Technically, the trade should happen. But Zelsis, as he continues to dance left and right, is able to secure that 4th kill to make things a lot easier, even securing that round for Version 1. So you got to thank your stars. You got to thank Zelsis for that round.
Well played from Zelsis, who almost hits 1,000 ACS in the pistol round. A lot of damage being dealt. Yeah, not bad. A decent start, I guess. Some would call that pedestrian pace or something. The dart's going to give away the position, but they got to be careful. That's a shotgun raining around the corner. As we know, the shotgun's still very strong in this patch.
Ooh.
Rogcar tries to charge in just a little bit too far, and it does result in his immediate demise. Effie's actually catches Critical, who was going for a jump dart towards long. His first dart actually didn't connect with Zelsis either, as it went into the far corner, not the, or actually the close corner, excuse me, not the far corner, as he did have it bounce once.
It was just unlucky.
We do have some aggression coming in from Poach, who's going to be in a good position. It's all going to come down to timing, though. And there's only one player that they really have to worry about. Now, the question is, based on how much space Penny gets, do they move up? Do they decide, okay, Penny's on A, we should just go A? This is going to get real awkward if that's what ends up happening.
I mean, the trap bar is there. They're going to jump over that, but there's a camera still. If they pop the camera up, there's going to be so much information already. So you walk up towards C. It's totally fine at this point, especially with 15 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah, they didn't have time.
You're going to run into this site. You're going to get this plant. But I was going to say it's just unlucky for the fact that Rogcar was trying to rush down that C side to get some Bucky kills and basically allowed Zelsis to get his health back to 100 from the way that he got that frag, because it was down to like pretty much 20 at that point. So Version 1 will technically get this round into 5 versus 1. Should be a... Okay, I was going to say... Should be a flawless cast or curse it, but at least a little damage, a little bit of damage done, but not too much. This should be still pretty good into their bonus into the next.
He almost got that third dink necessary. 2 headshots, not enough. as we find ourselves at the first buy round, or what would be the first buy round, excuse me. Because of the force that came in from BBG,
Correct.
they're going to have to save again. They'll spend a little bit, dropping down to 1,200 on critical. His next buy won't be super fantastic, but Bjor, on the other hand, sitting just about bare minimum. The biggest issue with even these sheriff buys is, you know, what are you going to have for utility in the round that follows, especially on players that you really want to have that utility. When you're looking at a player like Cypher, that agent obviously lives and dies by the tripwires and cyber cages. Free entries onto the B site allows them to gain complete access, and pieces are falling all across the board. The only player left standing is Bjor. The extra money spent doesn't really do too much for them, as Player 1 finds a 4K and the flawless round victory over BBG. But see, you can see what I'm talking about now. Look at the way the money is. Look how awkward it is with the way they have to spend. Like, they just put themselves down on $0 in order to get this buy out there. So Bjor does have close to a full kit. Actually, he has a full kit. It looks like he used his one tripwire already.
Yep. Yeah, so they're going to be totally fine, but still, the point is there here, bot, because they have bought down pretty low, and you're still trying to figure out for critical if you want to go for this this Odin or not. But I think that last round was very well read for Version-1. They probably knew it was going to be some sort of an eco going in, so they worked towards that B site. They didn't think there was going to be more Buckies on a crossfire on tight angles on B site, so very smart for them to get that plant into that site. So that's going to be another bonus round coming in for Version-1. So you see the 4 Spectres, or should I say 3 Spectres, a Vandal, and a Phantom. If they're able to make things expensive, even if they take the round, if they get the kills onto Rarkar, they don't allow Version or BBG to save, they're going to look pretty good here on this attacker side, especially now that both cyber cages have already been pulled up here on the C side. There's less utility to hold now for BBG.
There's the dash in from Rarkar. Excuse me, from Penny. That gets him onto the site, but it's kills back and forth. That puts BBG in the control position. Zelsis, oh, that's unfortunate. The self-heal, not really going to do too much in that instance. A dismiss might have bought him a second or two, but he likely would have died regardless. Vanity, LMS with an SMG. In a 1-on-2 against Poach and Rarkar. Rarkar sitting on full HP, no armor though.
30 seconds
so glass cannon on the operator, and Poach at half health. All about timing right now for Vanity. It doesn't look like Vanity wants to make a play towards C. It looks like Vanity wants to try to make a play towards B, potentially. Trying to bait them out of position, but the problem is, look at Rarkar's position.
He's going to hear him.
Yeah, as soon as he goes for the plant, there's going to be a player right there. Now, the tripwire on the wall, obviously, is not going to be a factor. Has to go for an open plant. Which way does he go? Oh, he's already got an idea that he's here. Just opens fire with a little pea shooter SMG he's got. He's got to find a first kill here to force it into a 1-on-1. Unfortunately, he swings wide into both players. Wouldn't have really panned out so well for him. The first round does go on the board for BBG.
The idea was still there. I liked how he was just jumping around, trying to force Rarkar out of position too. But Rarkar definitely the smarter player, or not the smarter player, but the smart player to stay put and just watch the angle, because his teammate Poach that was rotating on that ceiling was already watching his front side. So you got some good communication at that point for BBG to win that round. But like I said before, right, you're able to get 3 kills out of that one on your bonus round. Thankfully, at least Rarkar is able to save his operator, and he has knives this time too. But for the rest, it's going to be a Spectre here for Bjor, so he can get his utility in. But it's still going to be a round where they're going to be forced to eco if they don't get this one here. For the attacker side, Version-1, they have Zelsis still on that Empress, and you could leverage that now for this A-hit.
Fast towards the A site, they seem to be going. Penny gets the early pick off Rarkar. As Rarkar escapes, takes a shot and gets dropped down to 71. It will be retake territory, but it's a 5-on-4. The numbers in favor of the attacking side of Version-1. They've got this site on lockdown. Dueling drones, passing each other. No charges. But neither one's really going to get the intel necessary. Again, this is getting a little bit problematic right now for BBG. They're just getting into the site too slowly. Rarkar goes for the ult pop, doesn't pan out so well. And now you can see the 2 remaining members backing off. This is a save. They needed that to work out so much better for them. They just didn't have any openings. They didn't get any intel. They had nothing that they needed. to logistically get back into that site.
I think even if you wanted to risk that high on that push coming in here from Rarkar, I like this though. Chase them down, trying to prevent them from saving their weapons. That's another player to fall, but yeah, that's going to be good enough. It's a 1 versus 1, and that's it. You're still able to drop the operator at the beginning of that site. I was going to say, if Rarkar wanted to push in with that Blade Storm, maybe drop that operator for somebody else. He picks up a rifle so that potentially they could get the operator into the next round. But again, that clock was ticking down on that spike. You had to act a little bit quicker because they have wasted a lot of time already on that attempt of a retake. So very, very well done for version 1 to not try to be antsy and try to fight back against BBG. Let BBG make the first move and then chase after them. Yeah, they lost a couple of players, but you can see how healthy it is for their round on the attacker side still of version 1.
Damage dealt again early on. Poach sitting at 58 HP already. There's an early ult coming out from Critical, trying to do some additional damage. Does trace out Vanity, and it's looking like a promising start for BBG. Despite the fact that they've got subpar hardware, a Stinger, a couple of pistols, and 1 rifle, they're making it work.
Catch him off guard. Take him towards that garage side like Immortals kind of did versus TSM. Go for those early picks and hope for that rifle to work out. Even these Sheriffs, this is a great round for BBG, despite the lower buy that they had to just keep version 1 guessing. Like, those kills happened so quickly onto the grass side, and they could potentially upgrade on these weapons from that flank too. So not easy for Zelsis and FPs now.
One could say that those kills were quite critical. No?
I chuckled. I gave it to you a bit. Yeah, that's a 4. That's a 4 on 10.
Well, that's exactly what I aimed for, so I guess we'll set the bar low and you're fine. Zelsis trying to go on a rampage here. Backs against the wall. Time is a problem. Pulse gives away his position. Not that it matters. They knew he was in a similar location, but he won't have the ability to play off. Potentially the thought that he was going elsewhere. It's a thrifty round win, but it ends up costing BBG more off the back of Zelsis and his ult, so at least he keeps them from pulling too many weapons into the next round. But still, not the way you want to see a round go if you're version 1. 2 players surviving is 2 players too many when they're coming in as an eco.
And this is where you're happy when you have Jet in your lineup too, right? You might not have enough in terms of buying a weapon, but you got a Blade Storm already popped up. That could potentially be a rifle in itself, and we see how Penny could be good with the left clicks. Maybe not as potent as we want him on the right clicks from time to time, but those left clicks are still very good here for this agent, wielded by Penny, and we'll see if it'll work out, if they could actually make put things back in their favor for version 1. But BBG on the right foot to catch up into this game.
Player 1 picking off Bjor. The Cypher duel goes the direction of version 1. They've got site control. Are they prepared for Poach on the flank? Yes, they are. Site's been lost, and as great as that last round was, the rifles don't seem to be doing BBG too many favors. Now, Will does catch Zelsis in an awkward position, caught in a bit of a sandwich there. The shot's going towards backside, spamming through that box, just narrowly surviving Penny. Vanity's got a backstab onto Will. It's flanks on flanks on flanks this round. Critical able to get at least 1 kill, as again the battle continues on site. And this time around it'll be version 1 who survives with 2. Sure, they lost against a thrifty round, but they fire back immediately, and they get themselves back on the scoreboard yet again. The money is kind of in a weird spot because BBG had 2 players survive off a thrifty round win. Those 2 can buy, as they didn't have to purchase in the next. But even then, they're trying to figure out how they want to balance out the buy. And Bjor, even though Bjor has a decent amount of cash, decides to go with the Marshall.
That was exactly the plan there, going for version 1. Keep them guessing, right? BBG, they caught version 1 off guard, won on the thrifty, and version 1 said, we're not going to let this affect us. We're just going to explode really quickly into a C site again, knowing that you have a Cypher playing into your lineup. So you're just going to set the camera up. It's an open site, easy plan. And this time, they're still not letting go of that pedal, and they're just going to rush into that B site, get those openings, and even get the plant once again. So keep that in mind. When BBG is going to be on some sort of an eco, potentially version 1 will keep working towards this B site.
Last player standing.
Got Poach on the flank. It's a flawless round victory, as it should be, given what BBG brought into the play. That's more along the lines of what you want to see when you face off against a weak buy or a save if you're version 1. Zels is again commanding control of the scoreboard, currently sitting at 11-4, but surprisingly so, Cypher by his side, player 1. It's a player we talked about coming into the series. We mentioned that battle of the Sentinels, Bure and player 1. Player 1, a more recent Sentinel as well, while Bure has played that role in some shape or form, whether it was a Sage or his currently favored position of Killjoy and Cypher. But player 1, for a long time, played controllers, was notorious for his Brim play early on.
Yeah, definitely, and Bjorn comfortable in this role too. Even Poach now into this round, getting the first blood. Things are finally not looking good for version 1, better for BBG, as they want to go for that surprise kill, the surprise fight, that work towards that sewers. Now you're going to have to fight back, trying to gain that information back without peeking out for your opponents. So we force the Allen drone early for Effies. We have a recon dart, but we're still trying to punish early with this map control, and now we even things up. Both teams are going to have to start guessing now.
Yeah, that keeps them really uneasy, because look at the C site currently. It's pretty much empty. Now, Bjorn did just get a kill onto player 1. That was over on long A. Got the ult coming out as well. There's a nice peek, well-timed to catch the spike in mid. With 45 seconds left, it's down to a 2-on-4, and these players got to come back to the spike. I love the shock darts being used currently. Critical. Doing decent damage as one did hit Zelsis, putting him down on 76. There's the peak, and there's the inevitable heal, negating the effects of the shock dart. So he's back up to 100 HP with 32 armor.
It's okay.
And they've got the spike, but look at the flank. They are not prepared for this. It's all about patience right now. A 1-2 punch from Bure, making it look easy, as BBG get their third on the scoreboard, with 3 players surviving, no less.
And that's why you were still probably questioning why is Critical continuing to peek left and right, and you saw that he actually wasn't really wide swinging, right? He's using the shock darts, as you mentioned before here, Mark. He actually used a recon dart at the beginning as well, forcing them and keeping them under the window. But as soon as he dies, 4 seconds later, 3 seconds later, 2 players are already on a flank. So they were in a great spot. It was the bait and switch there, Critical, making sure that he's keeping his opponents just under the window side, so they could actually get this press and this pinch from front B and also from window to get this round. So BBG, they got 3 rounds on the board right now, and it looked pretty one-sided at the beginning, but they're slowly clawing back into this round, into this matchup, to potentially make it a 6-6 with the way things have been going with their last Thrifties into now.
Thought for a second he could escape that one, as it looked like the drone wasn't going to fully clear the right side, but it ends up happening. He throws down that cyber cage to survive. Speaking of the cyber cage, Bjorn was up top. They know there's one more on the site. There's a lot of confusion right now going on over on this site. There's the ult coming out as well, but the ult doesn't really work out so well.
Yeah.
It doesn't take out anyone in the process. The attempted retake falls flat, and they didn't even really gain site control when that battle took place. They lost site control, but at the same point in time, version 1 still hadn't even secured the plant. 7-3. Version 1 looks so much different on Haven than they did on Bind in that first half, but this is what we expected from them.
Yeah.
Again, we mentioned it. BBG played X-Set in their previous series on Haven, and it was rough. Like, real rough.
Mark, this is my turn.
Exactly.
The ult from the run it back, I guess it didn't work too well. Did you get that one? right. But here, now we have a half buy. We see them trying to work towards this mid. This is what I was saying before, right? Grass control, they know the pressure is coming forward, but we actually do have Will, speaking about him, that lurked down under the window, and there's that crossfire. That was perfect here, and they're continuing to press forward for both of these teams. It's going to be a bloodbath now here, Buck.
Down to just 2 here, but 3 on the other side. Rarkar's in great position. It's just a little bit too late. Delayed behind the play by a fraction of a second. And he can't get there in time, and now Effies is even watching the flank. It's a question of who's going to win this battle. Probably going to be Effies who's holding that line. In fact, it is. Critical, the only player left standing on the defense. No surprise yet again as it comes down to a 1vx. We've seen that happen so many times here for BBG, as version 1 has really controlled the early round in this first half. And, you know, it's looking back at that joke. think you might want to send it into workshop, revise it a little bit. It seems like it might be like an early access version. Maybe it's version 1 of the joke.
Nah, I like that one too. I like that one too. I'm gonna keep building on it.
Can you give me a penny for your thoughts? All right, I'm done.
Yeah, you could. Maybe I'll just poach it from you. Okay, anyways, let's get back to the action. 8-3 right now, and there you go. Rarkar getting the operator out, punishing Penny to start things off, and look how fast he dashes away. So he's already up towards heaven, so when the smoke dissipates, he might be able to get a couple more picks if we're working too slowly right now for version 1.
Fire these casters, they're Bjorn. Looking at the take towards the A site, you've got version 1 who is down a player, which isn't something that we've seen a whole lot, as it has been frequently them finding those opening picks. And they're without Penny, which makes things a little bit more awkward and uncomfortable for them, and you can see the effect. If they get that opening pick, just how much better BBG can be. It's like they ride off that confident wave, finding that early battle going their way. Unfortunately, that didn't happen enough, as is evidenced by the current score, 8-4, your halftime score. But this is exactly what we saw in map 1. Version 1 was down 8-4. And they still kept it close. They're still fighting potential here for BBG to try and come back in this second half and at least keep that scoreline a little bit close and fight for a potential 2-0. You know, originally when I was coming into this series, I was willing to write off BBG just because of what had happened to them in the series prior against XZ. But I've been impressed, even if Haven hasn't been going well for them. And I see the potential, the possibility for a comeback is absolutely there. Yeah,
definitely. So far for version 1, though, I do have to praise them as well. Actually, let's talk about that later. They're looking for something aggressive this time for version 1. They're pushing 4 players down towards mid and 1 garage. This could be dangerous now for BBG.
Spike down mid.
Very aggressive play, like you mentioned, in version 1. They're capitalizing on it. This is reminiscent of the pistol round in the second half of that first map, too, where they just charged down short A and just took the battle.
Yeah, and that was BBG, though, right? And this time, though, it works in favor of version 1, so
correct.
Very good round. And as now they win this round, I said I wanted to commend version 1 of how they're able to punish as well this open C site. Like I say, when you have a Cypher playing, you kind of want to play like a retake kind of thing, and they put that a lot on Pure on that defender side of C. Now that they take the attacker side in version 1, player 1's playing that Cypher, it seems as though he's setting up very similarly to how Bure's playing. So with the composition now that BBG has, they could also do pretty much the same thing as version 1 did on that C side. So I do expect for BBG on this attacker side to play this a little bit more aggressively, explode a little bit more for these dashes into the site.
Will, curveball, waiting around the corner as they start to take control of Garage. Puts a lot of pressure on Zelsis, who has to back off. They've got full C-side control, and they've done it with limited hardware. They've got the Bucky, 2 SMGs, 2 Frenzies, an interesting loadout for sure. Pure could be so pivotal to this. And as you can see, that's what I'm talking about. Catching one on the flank. They were not prepared for that, but look at this setup. Everything is focused in Garage. Literally all 5 players in Garage.
What is
It's going to be a brawl in that area. They're trying to funnel them in. And it looks like they're just going to go for C site control and smoke off the spike and try and stick it. They're going to get it to at least halfway inside that cloud burst coming in from Jet. But the way they set themselves up for this was definitely confusing. Now he does go for the redirect. He tries to actually hit the spike, and he blasts Heavies in the face instead with a shock dart. He took one for the team, steps in front of it, and ultimately it will be version 1 who win the round. BBG, they get site control, and then they very awkwardly all clustered up inside Garage. I don't know.
I kind of liked it, though.
It was weird, right?
So,
like, you kind of surrender spike.
Yeah, well, the thing is you see from the way that it's planted towards that C site, right, for long sometimes, and a lot of people are critiquing right now, me, myself included, that, you know what, looking at how Haven's played right now, playing back towards long C and trying to spam through smoke, it's not the way anymore. So now that you have 5 players stacked inside the Garage side, you have some players that can angle up and fight towards the spike plant, but at the same time, push through Garage and go for a flank. So that was the idea that they had with the Spectres, with the Buckies, to continue to use that close range on that battles that they could have to be able to pinch into the site. But of course, you saw some better shooting there because they didn't clear the right side corner of the Garage window. So with that, puts BBG on an eco, as you can see them just cleaning things up for version 1, as everybody else is trying to rush down towards this short A control for Built by Gamers. So again, just to refer back on that 2 rounds ago, it was a great idea that they had for BBG, just had to clear that right side of that window, where potentially could have been a whole different story for BBG.
Version 1, they may have won the round, but Vanity is sticking with his trusty Bucky. That's a player we've seen use that quite a bit.
I love it.
Reminds me a lot of Steel, his former in-game leader when he played for Chaos. Just his propensity to go to that as well. Oh, that's a huge Hunter's Fury right off the bat. Getting a lot of intel early on off that pulse. It does only do damage to 1 target, though.
2.
So
I thought he was going to get 3, but he got 2.
Yeah, did it get 2?
Yeah, Will's at, you see how his armor's low and a bit of low HP, so...
But wouldn't it be lower?
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm confused. I think he might have taken damage from something else.
You're right. I don't know.
Zelsis.
His poach is low
trying
too.
to get aggressive on long. Doesn't work out so well.
Yeah. Nonetheless, though, I mean, with that, it did spot a bit of information. I saw 3 players are pulsed by that, so my apologies, Chad, if I'm wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure he got Poach, Rarkar, and also Will at that point. But with that, though, BBG, as they noticed that they were getting pulsed, they just rushed down towards the seaside, and it works out. They're going to get this plant, but there's already a big fight coming in from Penny. The trade comes out as well, and Neffy's just stuck on his own now.
Spike planted.
Neffy's going back to the flank. And they're going to be looking the other direction. Does he get a free kill on these players looking away? There's one. But that's the only one he's going to get. Oh, Effie's lining him up. He's now got himself in a 1-on-2. This is winnable. Shock darts and an owl drone, but he's also got a recon dart in 6 seconds. If he can just hold on for 1 more second, not going to happen. As Bjor and Rarkar go for the high-low peak from logs in close corner. It's a 5th round for BBG. They got a stay of execution for the time being. Look at that commanding control of the scoreboard, though, for Zelsis. 5,000 damage dealt thus far. 17, 8, and 5. Player 1, 17, 7, and 5. Same amount of kills, 700 less damage.
Yeah, Zelsis has been crucial right now for version 1, especially on the pistol rounds, right? I think we talked about the 4K on that first pistol, got a couple of more on that second pistol. So it did really help version 1 to really gain this lead early into these halves by winning those pistols. But with that, though, you're starting BBG again, starting to claw back into the matchup. That last round that they read version 1 perfectly to get into that seaside, although during the execution on the post plan, they did lose a few players. Thankfully, though, they have enough money to go for these weapons into this round. But it's still a stalemate. You're trying to explode somehow into this B side with the run it back, but it gets canceled early towards the garage side, and Rarkar punishes for 2 of his own on B.
BBG looking good in this round. And again, it's been reduced down to 1. It's Zelsis. And we've seen him in scenarios like this before, but
Spike planted.
this is going to be difficult. Look at even just the setup. There's players everywhere. You've got a player in mid, one outside mid-window towards spawn. You've got a player towards long C. Zelsis is just locking down attacker spawn, trying to save this rifle and maybe get an exit or 2 on the way out of the site. Rarkar, though.
Oh, this
Oh,
timing.
I think he actually spotted the backside of Rarkar, so he might get the timing here. Does he go for the knife? Oh, come on. I thought he was gonna. Zelsis is the type of player to do it, but he saw the movement, got a little bit scared.
Oh, no.
Come on. How does that happen? I thought for sure he was dead to rights there.
I mean, now you're making things even more expensive. If he gets his 3rd kill onto Bjor, it's getting so close. You see even Bjor at that point, he doesn't want to push anymore. Because like I said, they've lost, what, 3 players on that previous round? They lost 3 players into this round here, too. They can't afford to lose another player. Now, thankfully, they could potentially drop a weapon for one of their teammates. There you go. Rarkar's already down to 0. They can't get an operator out. So this is pretty decent for version 1. But thankfully for Built by Gamers, they are going to face against a half-buy for version 1 into this round. But again, it's the defender side this time with Bucky's. But you know what? As much as I praised a lot into Vanity, Player 1, and everybody else from version 1 with their Bucky's versus FaZe, I haven't seen much results on these buys into the series.
Zelsis with the dismiss to get away. Great damage early on. Has to be careful. There's targets building up around the corner. Goes for the flash. Ult being utilized as well. Nice Leer coming out to try and slow them down. But now you know Zelsis wants to get some kills. Wants to try and fill up that HP. Back to full. And player one is really in a bad spot. It's confusing to even figure out what's going on with player one. But from his perspective, it seems to be as clear as day, as he got one more kill with just a shotgun. Will ending Zelsis' chance of padding out that HP. And the ult from Penny is unsuccessful. Vanity with the shotgun taken down through the blaze wall. Again, we mentioned it. This game was not over. BBG keeping themselves in it. They've now reduced the lead down to just 4 rounds. And sure, that wasn't exactly the strongest buy. But money is starting to build up on the other side for BBG.
Yeah, now that we continue to see this setup here for their ciphers on the C side, whether it's Biora or player one, I do like the fact that Version-1, they're looking to get more A side control, right? They have 3 players there. They could throw the recon dart in that area and try to fight back into the corner and see if they could gain that map control in that sense. But look at it from that mini-map. They're just going to look to explode for BBG into the C side again, force the player retake into the site for the C side, where it hasn't been successful that much for Version-1. So let's see what happens now.
BBG just explode onto the C site. We saw them do this before, and the last time they did, everyone funneled into the garage in a claustrophobic attempt to hold the C site. But this time around, they've got the rifles, they've got the utility necessary. Critical from distance, laying down some damage with his ult, gets intel that there's one towards spawn.
Yeah.
Not like that's a secret. They would have known that that's where they're likely to be coming from. There's the counter ult coming out. Roarcar playing close, able to get the double. Goes to the other side of the wall as well, but it's Effie's with a 1-2 punch of his own from the ult. It's now down to Will, who's in the clutch position. He's got the ult, hot hands the spike. Not sure if that's going to buy him enough time.
Yeah. Oh, maybe not.
No. That's close.
It will.
He's got it, yeah.
Hot hands or not, he had that round, so very well done. Done there for Will, sorry, and correcting myself at that point too. I saw that Hunter's Fury that came out that hit Penny, so a good 70 damage. So a couple of rounds ago, it definitely wasn't a pulse that hit 3 players. It was probably a recon dart at the same time too. That said, though, I think it continues on. Those explosions into the C site, getting Roarcar dashing into the site, getting that recon dart from Critical in that back of the site just to gain that pulse plant situation. The early aggression into C just pays off very well for BBG, as it did for Version-1 too. But as this happens, there's not much adaptation on that C side. You're just trying to control more towards mid. You're trying to control more towards A side for Version-1, but the retake still isn't strong enough. So I think they might have to try to change a bit of their utilities on the C side hold.
Early pick off. Penny again eliminated. Nice shock dart coming in as well onto Effie's, who's sitting around the corner and just eats up that shock damage. BBG, again, won map 1.
Yes.
Now they're clawing back into this second map. This is an elimination match. Loser will be knocked out of challengers, and the winner will continue on in this lower bracket. They roll the dice, going towards long instead of sewers, and it's the right call. Zelsis has made it back into the site, but with only a buck, he might get spotted out here by the drone, trying to dodge it as best as possible. Gets spotted at the last possible second. And now the site's been lost. Vanity also dying over towards short as Roarcar gets curious as to what could be coming in from that territory. Good shock dart utilization from Effie's to at least prevent the spike from planting momentarily, but it still seems like it was guaranteed to happen. We are at 11-9 now. 2 rounds separating BBG and Version-1. I would love to see a timeline of these rounds to see just how things have shaped up. This was 8-4 at half. So a nice little turnaround here from BBG. But it's another full buy round coming in from Version-1.
And at least the timeline here for the attacker side of BBG is just how Rarkar is just dashing into these sites all the time. And they have no way to stop it, no way to prevent it. Sometimes with a camera, you could actually try to get the ping down and try to stop Rarkar in his tracks from the way he's been able to just freely get into these sites. If it's not C, it was A. I'm pretty sure he did it towards that B site before too. They got to find a way to stop him. He's having an amazing half so far on the attacker side for BBG.
Joke's over. You're dead.
There's the flash coming in off the back of Will's ult. Run it back being used yet again to try and just blow up onto the site. It's actually Rarkar, though, who comes through from Garage. Even gets the 180. He sets the spin cycle to extreme and goes 180 degrees and catches a target that should have had him dead to rights.
One down.
Now, Penny, he catches Rarkar sleeping. Rarkar looking the wrong direction.
You're saving. You have no choice.
But yeah, exactly. This is a 2-on-4, and I don't know, they're pretty far up for a save. I think they're going for it. They're feeling confident in this scenario. Now, off that kill, maybe you could argue that it was save time, but they advanced up pretty far. Double digits for BBG, 1 round away from tying things up. The score very reminiscent to map 1, which was 8-4 at half in favor of BBG, but once the side swap, version 1 came alive. And the same thing's happening here for BBG.
Yeah. I guess I could understand why you want to try to go for it, too. I mean, you lose those weapons. It was going to be a half-buy no matter what there for version 1 into this round here. You want to add more credits into your bank so you can actually try to win out after potentially BBG ties it 11-11. Again, I'm saying that because those Buckies, I haven't seen much of it yet. But Rarkar on that previous round, like just, again, the way that he's able to make it all the way back towards the spawn side too, from that position, you see how pushed up BBG are at the same time on that pulse plan. So it would have been pretty much difficult right now for version 1 to play that retake on a 2v4 because of how pushed up their opponents were. But again, in hindsight, we'll see what happens into this round and see if version 1 could win out from here on out. But if not, let's give it to BBG on how hard they've been playing this second half. If you called an 8-4 on that first half, BBG has been doing very well right now on the attacker side, only giving version 1 those 3 rounds so far.
Again, the money. A problem here for version 1. You mentioned it before. You kind of like look at that last round. You think, oh man, maybe a save in that scenario would have had greater value. But they opted to go for it. They didn't really find much for their troubles. Looks like they do want to go towards the B site where you're going to have a Sheriff in position alongside Zelsis with the SMG. It's all about timing right now for Zelsis, who goes for the swing. Can't quite get the opener, but they don't realize that Penny's here as well. It doesn't matter. Penny not able to best Will, who was waiting around the corner. Nice shot coming out on the Classic, but it is just the Classic, so it doesn't do nearly enough damage. Nice shock darts coming into position as well to push Will out of that spot in Cubby. Effie's with only a Sheriff, and the dart's going to get smoked out as well, so it's not really going to give him anything. And that's what allows Rarkar to just hang out in this position, and it should be a relatively easy round here for BBG to win. We are tied up 11-11 as version 1 now staring down the barrel of a very scary scoreline compared to where they were at, and you can see that in the purchase. You've got Penny going to the op. We haven't seen too much of the operator here in map number 2.
And you see the red ping. So the red ping came out potentially on the attacker side to say, look, they're 1 ult away, 1 point away from Effie's or from Penny. So they might just want to try to pressure that out, prevent Effie's from getting that Hunter's Fury readied up, while you have Penny that's going to be opping towards window instead. I like that call from version 1 too, because a knock kill allows you to get the knives anyways, and there you go, you're pushing Effie's back, no orb to be picked up, and now you also have this A choke control. But look at this flank coming in from Zelsis. Oh, the camera spots him though, right? That was a teammate camera. So Zelsis is still going to be able to push and flank, and this is going to be huge now. That's a kill.
Oh, Yor did not stand a chance. That's a big pickup to start out the round. That's something that we haven't seen a whole lot of. Now, it does look like we are a little bit frozen here on the HUD, but we're definitely down to a 5-on-4. So keep that in mind.
And because they don't have the Hunter's Fury too, right? So you're just trying to jump peek. You can't really fight back at this point. Now you're resetting things here for BBG. You're going to try to work back towards the B side. But like I said, at the beginning when I thought it was going to be an enemy camera, it's a teammate camera from the defender side.
Oh.
So it spots Rarkar. But Rarkar still has position where he could just dash into side or gain control here. He's been a key component to BBG's entries to these sites.
Rarkar is in such a weird spot, though, that he has to use a knife to take out the cam because he doesn't want to risk switching to the pistol in open territory. It's like an awkward position to be in. Zelsis can't stop the getaway in time, so that allows Poach to escape with, again, the best HP possible. Nice shot from Rarkar to try and slow down the retake. Smoke's going to go in. That's going to eliminate his position, at least for the moment, but again, he still has the knives. So there's still potential here. It's up to Zelsis, who's coming through on the flank.
Huge.
Does get both, lines them up. And now it's down to just a few. They're sticking the spike. The Leer is going to make things so much harder for them to work. They stop the spike from being defused, but it's down to one player on both sides.
No time.
As Zelsis has to go in for the charge. But like you mentioned, not enough time. There is no way he can get it, and he realizes it. He's going to grab the op and escape. And it will be BBG, who have now secured Magic Round number 12, guaranteeing at the very least overtime as a possibility.
BBG looking to continue their run. What a comeback right now in this matchup. In the second half of all things, too, to also put them at series point. And you saw that communication in the end from Zelsis, probably with the team. It's like, hey, it's halfway. You might get it. And then he was still hesitating there. But that moment of hesitation definitely just sealed the deal. That forces Version-1 to have to try to come back into this game by bringing this matchup into overtime. And with the amount that they spent on that previous round, we kind of want to know what they have into this round here. It's going to be rifles. I mean, you are buying whatever you can. And then we'll see if it pans out in their favor. You have Zelsis with that op. They don't want to give it to Penny. He's actually opting towards the C side. So like I said before, all these times that BBG have been working towards the C side and just dashing in, this time you're posting an operator towards that C side and hoping they get a kill as Penny has his knives out.
That could be a deciding factor as Penny with the knives. You've got Rarkar with an op on the other side. Also, not with the ult, though. Keep in mind, it's still bugged. So he does not currently have the ult. He used it in the previous round. Zelsis as well had an op. So that made things real interesting. As we are going to see the ult come out from Critical. Hold on, BBG, they've made it manageable. This is a 4-on-3 right now, but you've still got Vanity, who's been lurking the whole round on long. Great paranoia coming out as the blind kill comes through. We are tied up at 12 apiece. We are going to overtime.
And that's what I said, right? Find a way how to stop these pushes into the C site. Not only did it put Zelsis with that operator that he saved on that previous round, because, again, Penny had the knives, so they didn't really give him the op. They wanted to use as much utility and weapons as they can in their favor. So using the knives as a long-range weapon, having a Spectre on a close range, but also putting Vanity in that corner of that C cupboard. The C cubby, sorry. It allows for them to try to get that crossfire, the trades as well, and the baits in case Zelsis misses an off shot down towards long C. But now BBG goes into the garage side. It was perfect positioning. That double flank that came in, or the double kill flank that came in from Vanity, allowed Version-1 to bring this into overtime. So a big round that was needed, of course, because they were facing elimination for Version-1. They played that perfectly finally to counter that out. But after all these rounds that they finally did it, will this be finally a round where BBG could condition Version-1 of faking a C site and hitting A after? We'll have to find out now as we're waiting for this timeout to finish. We're still trying to get this conversation in. This is a crucial timeout to have for both of these teams. Most importantly for Version-1 because BBG have a map in hand in this series.
Do have a pause. Probably just trying to get things fixed here so we can go into this overtime. The fact that they were able to claw back and even go into overtime. Sure, BBG had a position where they could have won this one 13-11. But even just making it to overtime after the way things started is quite impressive. They were down 8-4 and they've somehow turned it around. I'm trying to remember who won that second half pistol, because I'm pretty sure it was Version-1.
Yep. It was when
If
they
I'm not
pushed 4
mistaken.
players down B mid.
And you're right. And then in the second round, we saw the force from BBG, and they lost that too. So in the third round, they had to save. So they were down 11-4, and they went 12-11.
Yeah.
So they won 7 straight rounds, or 8 straight rounds, excuse me, to get it to that point. Would have had to make it 9 in order to close out the series. We mentioned the comeback potential, and I'm sure people were saying there was no way it was going to happen based on the way that BBG had played throughout some of that first half. But here we are. Overtime kicks off. And we do have an op purchase, a rare one that we typically don't see. It's going to be Rarkar carrying it because, again, you have to go armorless, and basically you get nothing else.
And his position's crazy too, right? He's halfway
Right.
down pretty much. If he dashes away,
Playing
like
off the tailwind.
yeah, he's got a tailwind away, but he's going to be like half exposed potentially there on the right side corner of long C if he actually misses the shot too, right? So that's an important angle for him to take where he cannot miss. But meanwhile, he does have great support from Garage, so he cannot get in from that area either. So let's see what happens. Zelsis is going to try to sell the fake. The rest of them are working towards A. You see the rotation coming out from BBG as well, but that's that change. As we say, they keep C side open a lot. They have both cyber cages for the defenders on the A side, and a trap bar is there too.
30 seconds left.
You're on site, trying to get creative with the cyber cage. It backfires. Now that leaves Poach in an awkward position. This round not looking so good for BBG. Zelsis will pick off one more. There's no sense, obviously, in not going for this. It's swap sides. You have to win 2 in a row.
Yeah.
It's down to 2, and it's 4 on the other side. The peek from Rarkar
timing.
didn't spot the head of Zelsis. Thought maybe he'd see it, but it wasn't there. Critical at least gets the pick off onto Zelsis, but player 1 changes positions, and now things get tricky. You've got the Triangle of Doom set up. So many crossfires, so many preventative measures from keeping Critical out. And, yeah, you can see it start to come together there at the end. BBG lose the first round as Version-1 hold on to the lead they let slip away in that second half.
Yeah, you definitely want to try to close this out right now here for Version-1, because the more of these back and forth that could potentially happen between these two teams, the more you might start feeling the pressure from Version-1. You take the advantage for BBG. Again, just due to the simple fact that you have a map in hand is going to be huge right now for BBG's confidence. They have a chance to bring this into a double overtime. Not sure into this round if we actually do have an operator coming out on the attacker side for Rarkar, because we still have to switch sides here. But again, we have to look at the conditioning now for Version-1. Can they get it done here as they... Oh, they're changing things out. They're actually pushing down towards mid again, and it works out because the key player for BBG is the first one to fall. So it's a 5-on-4. Don't worry about this overlay. It's now Version-1 on a defense.
Oh, Zelsis' position
Great
is
spot.
so good.
Enemy remaining.
And now, things falling apart. Version-1 wins the second map.
In this lineup for both of these teams, that Astra is not going to be in that same lineup. So is it going to be pretty much the same old ways that we want to play the split map, especially now that you see a Sage on both Critical and on Effie's? But we're going to find out right away because we're live in this pistol. We have BBG on the attacker side, and everybody's pushing down towards that rope. We forced the wall early to pick up an orb as well for Version-1. But with this mid control, still not much more game because we're looking to play much more passively for Version-1.
There's the fly-in. They were spotted by the cam. But the back-and-forth battle, that's success for BBG. They've gained site access.
Spike planted.
And now the retake can commence. The turret taken care of pretty quickly. Penny's already made it out of spawn. They weren't anticipating this position, so Penny's actually snuck out all the way towards the other side of Pillar. It's going to come down to Fjord to kind of shut that one down. Penny, though, with the quick shots. Puts the smoke on the spike, probably going to take it to halfway and then back off. But the frenzy is just too strong. Fjord with a big play here in the pistol, finding 3 kills for BBG. And they will go up 1-0 on the attacking side of Split. That's a pistol round you really want to win, because it might be one of the few rounds you win on Split, even though the map has changed pretty drastically. And you could argue about which side it's been balanced more towards with all the recent patches and changes. It still skews towards defense. How heavily, that's obviously up for debate.
I mean, when you're looking at the compositioning, you have to, right? To be able to get that Sage Wall into your composition is going to be very strong too, especially on pistol round. So the way that they've just pushed as a team to get in there was just perfect for BBG to get that round. It did come down to a 1 versus 1 though, so still pretty close. But into this round, you saw that boom bot, so that forces the Jet to dash away early, and that was Penny. You had a couple of sheriffs, and now spamming through the smoke. We're trying to get a little bit more map control and try to surprise BBG. That's not paying off, and you're just trying to funnel everybody back towards his mid-side mail where you have Vanity once again holding with that Bucky.
It's quieted down. The spike is down over towards Ramen. You've got players currently considering going towards B. There's no one currently playing B-side defense. So the big thing right now for version 1 is this stack towards A, and it could work out for them quite nicely. Sage likely to fall here as Effie's goes around the corner. Takes Will a little bit longer than maybe one would anticipate, but there's the heal coming through. They've got double heal potential, mind you.
Yep.
So there is a lot of survivability right now for this BBG roster that can get real interesting depending on where you're at in a round. Penny's on site, trying to just pivot back and forth from elbow, but can't survive long enough. And this is a scenario we've seen play out several times already. Vanity alone in a 1vx with a Bucky,
10 seconds
and not
left.
really in a position to do anything about it.
Spike
And it's good
planted.
enough for BBG. You saw that guiding light coming from Rockheart into A Heaven. It spots him. It's going to call it out. They know he's already rotated over. And they know potentially Vanity is going to play with this Bucky, so they don't want to chase after him. They're playing against this inside the side again, just like they did on Bind. So very good and well done for BBG. It's just where they're going to decide to go for the exit. And potentially it's heading towards where Vanity is currently posted up. Thankfully, it's 4 players, so if they lose one, at least they could trade it out. But never mind, that's 1 and 2. That spike is going to go off fairly soon, and they're even escaping on the other end for right now, BBG. So 2 unanswered rounds now for the attacker side, and they'll save these weapons for the bonus.
Here's where the rubber meets the road, though. If you're BBG,
Left.
you gotta keep winning them at this point. I mean, this round itself could be huge. I mean, Vanity doing great damage there with the shotgun. So it won't be a bonus round coming in here so much. But what is this? Will, despite having money, is on a Bucky. Critical's on a Sheriff.
They're doing bonus no matter what. So you're going to half buy pretty much at this point, so you can buy into the next round. So I see this a lot in rank 2. So it's good, a good way to control your economy. You have Rarkar that is going to go for pretty much a full buy, but it's also Rarkar, right? So he could do a lot of damage here with the Phantom that he purchased.
Vanity with the pickoff on Pure early on. That's the Bulldog striking first with its vicious bite. Critical really wants to find a kill here to get that Reds back. Critical has to be careful as the swing comes through. It actually backfires. There's the fly-in from Will. We actually lost track of Will. He disappeared. They needed Doppler radar to figure out where he had gone to. Rarkar is the only one left. The flash doesn't actually get around the corner. It looked like it's got stuck on the wall. But Spike is still very much in possession of version 1 as Rarkar gets closer and closer. It's Penny on the flank to actually get that kill. Vanity was buying time from that position. The first round goes on the board for Vanity and his team over on version 1. You can see, though, the money is just weird. Like, Rarkar's only got 2,400, so Rarkar is going to be on an awkward buy here with just a Sheriff. So even though they tried to still go into that one with a bonus, it felt like they approached it kind of weird.
Yeah, like I said, it was just Rarkar with that purchase, right? I think they felt confident how they were going to play the attacker side and that he could do something. Like, technically, you saw the way how he played that B side. He actually got 2 kills of his own with that Phantom. So if his teammate actually got a little bit more with that bonus, with the way that they played aggressively towards that B side, we would have seen a different story. But it's better for version 1 from the way that they played it, the spacing that they had between Zelsis, and I think it was Vanity, right? Towards that side of B main to get those kills were definitely well done there on their end to actually get those early 3 kills, including paint shells, and just crumble down that strategy for BBG on the attack. So now it's still going to be a rifle round, with the exception of Rarkar, but at least he's got the Seekers to help out if they want to try to explode into any of these sites.
Zels is currently jiggling, has the nade. There's the paint shells going out. Does bounce kind of out of the position one would hope it would. And he takes some damage as he attempts to go for that too. So he's down on 70 HP, tries to use the blast from the paint shells. Kind of go for a peek. But it did cost him a bit of damage in HP. The push is going over towards the A site though, where player one has a cam position. He's playing elbow. There's the Seekers coming out. That will be Rarkar's ult, spotting out the positions of players on site. Version-1 unafraid of those Seekers, and they remain in the positions on site. Great damage coming out, though. All of a sudden, BBG's in a really great spot, but they've got to stick the spike. Poach just barely gets around the corner, but it's a 1v2, and they don't realize that Penny is here, and he stops the spike from being planted, and then tailwinds away. A great move coming out from Penny. That's a huge round one. I was starting to get worried because Poach was kind of hanging out just a little bit too far on that edge as he went for the fast plant. He wanted to get it down. He almost got caught out. He was going and taking the fight with the player towards screens. And had he died there, that would have been the round lost there as well, because there was about 8 seconds left when he finally realized, oh, I got the spike. I got to get on site.
So you gotta hold that alt shift or whatever key you use to try to get that plant down right away. And because of that, he was exposed. So you got to thank your stars for Penny's side to be able to get that kill and dash away too. Thankfully, he kept it there. But it was still a great execution for BBG. The Seekers got enough. Yes, they were able to hold down for quite a while for Version-1. But Rarkar picked up a rifle and just went all out with Critical at the same time. So very well done for BBG to keep the round close. But again, Penny saves that round for Version-1. And into this round here, you're going to see Rarkar and company on this half buy, because you saved that Vandal or for that previous round. It results in a kill that's perfect into mid side, and the rest are going to be on pistols to try to move forward.
Boombot goes out. Counter paint shells coming in from the attacking side raise. That pulls them out of position of mail room. And that allows massive mid control currently for BBG. The problem is, what do you do with it? You've only got pistols, except you've scooped up the rifle onto Will. Remember, Rarkar brought his in from the previous round. Effys has to go big from this position. The wall comes in at the worst possible time. Will we finally get to see what Vanity can do with the shotgun? No, not going to be today. We've seen him buy it so many times, and we're just waiting for that one opportunity where they finally go in his direction, and when they do, the fight, there's just too much distance and too many targets. The B site's lost. It's looking like a promising round here for BBG, as it's a 5-on-2 off the back of strong early round mid control.
It's like one of those moments where as a crowd you're like, oh, and then no kills there. And finally we just want that to come out for Vanity so we can turn the page and then turn a new leaf and really focus on the rest of this game. But you were asking, what did they have right now for BBG to try to get this attack? Well, you saw it. They still had utility, right? Despite them only having pistols. So they had the wall, they had the paranoia to get the whole site control as well. Zelsis is going to let one pass because he only sees a pistol. He just wants to make sure that he doesn't allow these rifles to get saved, and that's one down. But the other ones are being picked up from the rest of the site. So even though Poach ran through with pistols, picked it up towards mid-side, and that's it. So we're going to have the round coming in for BBG. And 3 rifles moving into the next, so a perfect round on what I would call a thrifty at this point for the attackers.
Technically a thrifty. I don't think it gave them credit for it because Rarkar had the rifle, but that was brought in from the previous round. The rest of the team was on just pistols and armor, and they converted off an early kill, got a second rifle in the mix, and made it work. And they wander away with a few rifles. 3 players survive, 3 rifles make it out of the round, as Poach got one just before the round expired. That's about as successful a round as you can hope for when you're coming in with a round like that. They throw the wall down early as Effys wanted to go for orb control and guarantee that the res would be available, but it's not going to happen. You did hear the knives come out from Penny, who's currently up in heaven. That's currently the only ult available for the defense, whereas the opposite side, you've got res, showstopper, and you've got that Killjoy lockdown, which they may very well use to try and go for a push over on this A site. But Effys says, you know, You didn't give me the orb. I'm just gonna go for the peek. Oh, nice. Nice updraft coming in from Penny. Updraft plus Blade Storm, knowing that the res came through. And Will, he lives, he dies. He lives and he dies again.
And no ult. So you got to thank Penny again for that one. So I think the updraft, the left click works out. He's the only one that doesn't have a weapon into the round, gets that kill, recharges his Blade Storm as well. So this is now going to put the rest of BBG trying to look for some map control. It was a great lurk to start things off between Bjor and Poach, but it turns into a trade still. There's still one player playing close, and that's going to be Vanity. They just want to take the stairs control too. They're okay with giving them the round away or the site away for the B side and play the retake with this res.
Paranoia comes through. That allows his teammates to get past that smoke towards stairs. Poach puts a fresh smoke down on spawn. And there's the slow orb as well to make the escape even more awkward. Poach goes for the port across. And the spike will be planted. It's a 5-on-3, but at least decent positions for the remaining members here. And Rarkhard does have the ult, so the Seeker is going to come out. They're going to try and flush out the positions of these players. Again, you've still got Penny with this ult that you got to be careful of. There's a fresh smoke coming out towards spawn. Rarkhard with the quick shots. And some more on the follow-ups as well. Into the ankles at first, but then the dig shot actually sends his crosshair up higher. It's now down to a 1-on-2. Make it a 1-on-1. Zelsis with a nade around the corner. Couldn't have timed it more perfectly. And he should have time for the defuse as well. Not really much could have been done there for Poach outside of just a peek. And I'm not sure why you didn't see it. He heard the nade come in. He knew he was low on HP. But you don't get that peek from Poach.
Yeah, I think at that point, too, it was one of those moments. Is he going to tap and get off it, too? So I just want to push him towards myself. Knowing that I'm low on HP, I could still potentially lose that fight right away. Maybe he was hoping for that timing. But at the same time, I was going to say, like, this is still going to be very difficult for BBG to actually win that post plant because they had the Seekers out, but like you said, Buck, it was a 5-on-3, so 3 Seekers going to go out. Yeah, a couple are going to head towards Heaven or whatnot, but those are their usual spots where Version-1 or anybody on a retake is going to be coming from Spawn, from Heaven, so you don't know exactly how many players are still there because you still have 5 guys going after you. But suddenly 3 guys from BBG just drop 3 players instantaneously for Version-1, allowing this 2 versus 2 to happen, which made it very close actually in the end. So Version-1 winning it by the skin of their teeth for another round here. And we'll see if they can continue on with that moving forward. Thankfully now, knowing how it's been back and forth with all of these trades, this 4 spy that you have coming out from BBG, and also, of course, the Spectre coming out from Player 1, you want to know if this works out.
Well,
it does.
The ult gets popped, and so does the ult from Raze on the other side. So they do send that rocket into B main. It doesn't stop the Killjoy ult, but it does take one player out of the equation. It's Will, who still has his ult sitting on standby. So yeah, there you go. The site will be lost. It's a 4-on-4 as the spike goes down. Nice flash coming through as the guiding light comes through that smoke. Poach in a pivotal position for BBG. And that's the first kill that he desperately needed to find onto Penny. The other players actually haven't even made it out yet, as they're kind of stuck dealing with this other player up in mailroom. Or, excuse me, they were thinking there was another player up towards mailroom and mid. And I'm not really sure what's going on with that mid player now as they back off. It's looking like we're going to see a save here. But there was players that were kind of like, they were not really paying much attention to the site. Felt like they were paying more attention to mid. And never really put their foot in on the retake. They were kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Yeah, no Seekers.
Takes the site and takes the round. Yeah, the Seekers keep coming out, and I'm like, it's an ult to me that I still question. Like, I don't look at it as extremely valuable, just because of how easy it is to kill the Seekers. But I guess in the right scenario, there is at least some value. I remember early on watching Sentinels play on Icebox. They put Sick on Sky. Yeah. And he would have the ult all the time. Like, it felt like he constantly had the ult. It's only 6 points. It's easy to charge. But it compared to other ults, it feels like it is a little bit on the lighter side.
Yeah, at this point, though, I mean, some other teams like TSM, you run right behind the Seekers and you rush for these kills, and some teams are doing it. But in this case, right now for BBG, it's just trying to waste the clock down, right? If you see a couple of guys shooting, maybe you swing on that one too, knowing that it's coming from Heaven's side. Wasting that clock down allows for them to get the round 2. Yes, 2 players of version 1 are able to save their weapons, but it was still very low weapons going in. Oh, dashing away here from the Showstopper, but still goes head-to-head against Poach. So that's Penny to fall, and BBG trying to get into this A site.
Give a penny, take a penny. You see the ult come out from Will finally that he's had for several rounds, and he's got a target right in front of him. He's probably salivating at the opportunity to just sink a rocket straight into his meaty flesh, and instead, Penny just dashes away and totally negates that. It's still a kill that comes through, though, as he dashes straight in to the attacking side, kind of runs right into the belly of the beast. The remaining members of version 1 don't exactly have the greatest hardware. You got Bjor around the corner, too. It should be a pretty clear here on the first one. The second one, not that much more difficult. Effie's does have at least a Phantom. It might be set up to find an exit here, but good luck holding on to it as there's players waiting around the corner. This is a good attacking half thus far from BBG.
Very good, very good. And those hits that they were taking towards this B side seems to work out too. Even if they lose it, they're also able to chip down the economy versus version 1, which allows for them in these moments to face against a lower buy against version 1, where unfortunately these half buys are not paying off throughout the whole series for this team so far. So it's a good way for BBG to get that 1 or 2 round advantage. But version 1 are still doing a great job on the comeback when they get their money right too. And this is going to be one of those rounds again. I mean, Effie's, yes, he died. He only has a Spectre. But Utility is going to be good enough to slow some opponents down so that his teammates with the rifles supporting him on 3 players on Heaven B side can try to fight back here. That's so annoying. Pain shells to be thrown, and at the same time, you also have the regrowth coming out from Rarkar, so that means the pain shells have been denied pretty much at that point. But Penny still in a great position towards vents. Gonna get smoked out. Still trying to see if he can hear something. He does hear the paint shells, so it might be a timing where he can get the backstab, especially off that paranoia that comes out, and there's that swing. He does get 2 for himself. But that is going to be a couple of trade-offs and just a great hold from Zelsis so far to make it a 3 versus 1. The spike is down. Poach is going to try to clutch it here. He does have from the shadows, so he could still run up here and try to get that spike. But because he used that paranoia at the beginning of the round, he doesn't have much in terms of trying to clear. So it's going to have to be body peeks and see if he could actually win those individual fights if version 1 are making mistakes on individual peaks.
Poach coming in through the mailroom. That smoke goes down, and now they're going to try and play around it. Grabs the spike from distance, uses those long, stretchy arms, and now he's going to try and get over towards this A site. Good luck. You've got a player already holding it down. Does he actually have time with the ports? I don't know. It's going to be close. He actually taps it and just wants to take the fight. Player 1 was right there. And even if player 1 doesn't get the kill, you've got Sage in the mix as well. Effie's, I think, was coming through from Heaven. There really just wasn't a chance.
Yeah.
So it was a good and valiant effort to try to get to that site, but they were just too ready for it. And version 1 does grab the round. BBG still in the lead by 1. And again, we mentioned this. This is a good half for the attacking side. Even if they lost out from here, this would be solid for them. Now, one of the things we talked about coming into this map was Rarkar playing Sky, and kind of an interesting choice. Also, how's it going to impact his performance as he was playing Jet across the last 2 maps? Doesn't seem to be hurting him. If anything, maybe helping him a little bit. Currently in top position, looking pretty consistent with those flashes. Guiding Light is just so incredibly strong.
His utility usage is really good right now. To allow Will to get into these spacings, to get these controls of the site, is just Will right now that you want him to like land those opportunities with that showstopper or try to get a little bit more with these rifles. But because they're working with this single duelist and they know they could try to shut down Will first, they've been doing a great job for version 1 to be able to contain him so far. To not allow BBG to get these rounds so easily, it's been very back and forth on these executions. With the rest that are coming in for the trades after Will dies. So much utility. That paranoia and the guiding light. One-way cages, though. Bjor actually spots him and takes him down, so that's an open A site.
They're going to go ahead and get that spike planted in the back corner of sight. The wall's going to come down as well, making a retake that much harder for them. Penny 1 kill away from the ult, not going to get it here. Gets clock clean by Bjor, who goes for the wide swing. Nice nade right on top of Critical's head. There's the rocket coming in, but it's a delayed detonation. But it's still looking promising. It's down to Critical and Critical alone, who's still playing off the top side of the wall and can back down off the top of that one. Vanity is waiting. Now, what's interesting is the wall was present. He had a res. There's not really anyone nearby, so there's not anything that he could have done with it. You know, maybe he plays to the other side of the wall and can try and move around just a bit, but that spike is planted in such an awkward spot for a play like that. Really just has to go for the face battle against Vanity. Drops off the wall, tries to do what he can, but
it was
also
also
going to Version-1.
It was also thanks to the utility that Celsius was using, though, right? Because the paint shells forced one of the players to get away from him, and also the showstopper forced both of them to split off pretty much. Keep Critical on his wall, get his opponent out towards screen, so you spread out the damage that could happen with the showstopper, so it makes it a lot more difficult for him to get that res up a little bit later. He had great ideas with how he played the wall, but after his position's given away, it's good enough. And now Penny continues to be a nuisance right now for BBG, so he's starting to step up a little bit here on this first half, and we're starting to see his name come out more where, you know, it's been Rarkar that's been annoying every single time playing as that Jet, but this time Penny as that Jet is doing well for Version-1.
Cover going out.
Effie's wall getting chiseled away in mid. There's no presence currently on A from BBG, and they're starting to kind of realize, like, oh god, we didn't really put any effort towards A. It's because they're going for the dedicated B play off the back of this Killjoy ult. So they're going to dedicate themselves to it. There's the ult being utilized by their Omen to put them in position. Penny has to be careful. Penny not going to get away, potentially? No, Penny did get away, so Penny does dodge it just barely, but missed shots coming in. Celsius is still on site and still trying to delay them with the blast packs. Vanity even, it looked like taking some shots at his own teammates for a second, as there was just confusion on the site, but it's okay. Version-1 able to survive. That take into B was just too telegraphed, one would say. And that's ultimately the problem with that lockdown ult. It did feel a bit vanilla coming in from BBG. I love when teams use lockdown, but then, you know, go the other direction. Especially when you hear that ult come through from Omen. So you hear Vanity pull his ult, you assume he's already in position, ready. And there's so many gaps on that ult, too. Like, back B is open. You can still play towards the stairs in heaven a little bit. So it's not like it really gives you that much. If you have to take a fight with someone backside, if they can delay you long enough, like you saw from Celsius with the nades and the blast backs, it makes things so incredibly uncomfortable.
Penny again with another first blood. It's just great combos right now from Version-1 and how they're playing their defense. Like that previous round, they actually had one-way smokes from Vanity into B main. As we look at Split on North America and how it's played recently, it's just like, hey, Sage Wall towards B side, Frost Orb with Raze, just try to contain them down towards that B side, kind of like Sentinels did and coined it. But this time they're using Sage towards the A side. They're having these one-way smokes towards B, and with the one-way smoke, Zelsis playing in the back of the site, could spot under the feet, could throw the boom bot, could throw the nades, could slow things down. And into this round, they're switching things up. When they put that wall up on B side, they actually posted the Jet operator on the top of Billboard. So that's another move that BBG didn't see coming and allows Version-1 to get first blood once again. A numbers advantage, and as they're rushing into the A site, this is where they're getting completely shut down most of the times on the initial fights.
Ult coming in from Will. Works out and takes Vanity out of the equation. There's Poach as well, chiming in with his own handiwork. Now the wall is going to come out, and that will allow them to at least get the spike planted. But Penny is there, ready to slice Will to pieces. Slow orb coming out. The Cypher hat's going to give away position. Oh, that's the worst possible time for that to happen. He's like, please let me get out of this ice. He's trying so hard to escape it, but it doesn't work out so well. We mentioned it, even if Version-1 closed out the half and BBG ended at 7-5, that's not bad. 5 rounds on the attacking side on Split is more than manageable.
Definitely. I would like to say at this point, they're just taking their time to defuse so they could talk about their pistol round into the next half. And also because they're feeling very confident with the way things looked in their favor towards the end of this first half. So well done at that point. It also felt, like you said, when Critical was trying to run away after that plant, he was stuck there or just like on skates, just sliding into like nowhere, and unfortunately got picked off by Penny in the end. So Version-1, in the end, had a pretty decent defender side here for the first half. A split. What happens now on the attack? What kind of attack can we see from Version-1 come out? Can they actually seal the deal? Or can it be, once again, BBG, once they switch sides, are going to take the upper hand and we see another map into overtime? But what did I say, Bach, at the beginning of this series? It was going to be close, it was going to go 3 maps, and it was going to be a more even matchup for these two teams, and we're definitely seeing it so far.
What do you think you are, some kind of analyst?
Sometimes. It's just my predictions that are terrible.
Yeah, hold on. Let's be real. Your predictions for Masters were probably the worst of everyone.
Listen, I'm going off my gut feeling and also stats, and sometimes the stats aren't enough. Sometimes it's not about the math, it's about who shows up for these games. And so far, both of these teams are showing up between BBG and Version-1.
One thing I've learned over the years is that my gut has a tendency to know better than the stats. Sometimes I just feel like stats, they just deceive you.
Yep.
But your gut never lies. And unfortunately, my gut's been doing a lot of truth-telling throughout COVID. It's gotten very low. There's the drop into the ropes, but it's a bloodbath in the ropes, no less. As the pistol round mostly takes place in that one territory. Now the spike's been dropped. Bjor is in position to potentially stop this, but oh god, that's awkward. Not much can be done there as they just fly into that spot. Version-1 win the pistol, and that's scary territory right now if you're BBG, because again, 2 of the 5 rounds, excuse me, that you won in that first half were the pistol round and the round that followed. You don't want to allow the same thing for Version-1 because it basically just negates that pistol round.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things that I just love watching from teams so far where the communication right now, I talked about it on Haven when they're pushing simultaneously through a smoke and then trying to get the crosshair off their opponents. What they did there towards that rope was just beautiful to watch there for Version-1. I'm just trying to look back into this series to see like how many pistol rounds did we actually see BBG actually win, and it hasn't been that much. I think it's at least maybe maximum 1 or 2. So things have been looking really good for Version-1 off these pistol rounds.
Shotgun time yet again. Seen a lot of shotgun, and if I'm being honest, I feel like we've seen a lot of low-impact kills with the shotgun. I feel like we haven't seen those, like, oh
nothing.
My god,
yeah, like nothing.
Insane rounds. Like
the only ones he's gone are like exits on A side, and that's
yeah.
it. So, you know what? I'm happy because that means now this is the last time we're pretty much going to see it this week, and then it's just like forget it, right? Maybe a right click could still be good against ecos because it does do that 100 damage, but outside of that, you got to be well positioned on rounds where you want to run the Bucky, even left click against your opponents, because again, right clicks 5 pellets, maximum 100 damage that you could do on a right click. It's not going to be as strong when even into maybe an anti-eco, your opponents have small shields, right? Small shields and classic could still survive that right click Bucky.
Zelsis, top of the scoreboard, not entirely surprised. 17 and 11, 49-16 combat score currently. That is heaps of damage coming out from Zelsis. What he's been doing all series long. There's a big fat paranoia, but Poach goes into a cyber cage and never gets out.
Yeah, you're walking into a trap at that point.
Yeah.
The audio is good enough there for them to spray, get that kill, and even at the same time, Critical got spotted inside that A site, got picked off. It's going to be an easy plant. You're looking at 10 so far here for a Version-1, especially you see on that round. We had a Bulldog being purchased. We had a pretty hefty gun round coming in here for the defenders. As they're still trying to go for it a bit, they're pretty much caught now. We're going to chase after them for Version-1.
Well, they get that kill, which is pivotal on them escaping, and you saw it for a second. They're like, oh, maybe we want to go for it. Not today. Vanity going to get some impact here with the Bucky. We were talking about how it felt like the Bucky hasn't had that much impact, and sure,
exits.
still technically exits, but he prevents the save. So there's still heavy impact there in that round. It's not like they are useless. They're not stat pads. They're not like lost kills.
Of course.
Look at the buy coming in the next round here from BBG. They too are going to be rocking the shotgun, whereas Vanity got himself a nice little upgrade to a rifle.
So we got a couple of rifles, 3 Buckies. We're going to try to work things back for BBG on the defender side, trying to make Vanity have a little taste of his own medicine. And from the way that it's positioned, you really want to try to take this mid control here for BBG. It's playing close towards male. You're trying to use Poach to get an information early. But in the end, for version 1, it's once again player 1. They're going to try to play off his utility to just get this map control on A side. But that's where Rarkar is. Doesn't pay off.
He's trying desperately, too, to outrun the boombot, which was chasing him down. He could hear it on his heels. But he does manage to escape, find safety in the mailroom. There's an early shotgun kill coming out. Does he actually get anything out of it? Because he gets the kill, but he does not pick up the rifle, so there will be a stranded weapon in mid. You can see the distance between him and the gun is pretty far, and Vanity is making sure there's no way he's going to be able to get back to that one. Now, I love this play. The ult over into the site to get some intel cancels. They're going to be going into B.
I don't know if they
I don't know what they
spotted.
saw.
They didn't. I don't think they saw Bjor. So they saw Critical. Critical stopped the ult, but Bjor is in a great position right now. There you go.
Oh, and that smoke.
Down B.
The smoke that came in from Jet from Penny actually ended up backfiring as it didn't give him vision of him, so he couldn't turn around in time to get that pickup. Penny with a nice shot at least onto another, and now we're starting to see the shotgun and its incredible potency. The stick on the spike does get canceled as he realizes there's targets nearby. Oh my gosh, almost had a chance. Poach came through, but didn't get close enough for Vanity to spot him before the round ended. It's a 6th round for BBG. If Poach stayed up top, that got really scary. With him
100%.
dropping, he hides behind the smoke, and it's still very difficult. We're talking 1 second to get that kill onto Poach. Vanity would have had to have been laser precise.
And thankfully, he wasted a lot of, or used a lot of his bullets rather to get Will down to have less to try to fight against Poach to continue to spray through that smoke. So this time the luck finally comes in the favor of BBG, and even at that point, again, great positioning from Bjor, and great job for Critical to cancel that ult right away to allow BBG to get that round, and the luck is not going to continue that way, though. Great Frost Orb into a spray through the smoke, catching Bjor this time, and that's utility down on A side. Oh boy, Penny with another one. This is huge. Penny dashed all the way towards screens to get those 3 kills, and that's one of those rounds where we're talking about how Rarkar was able to do it on Haven. So very well done for version 1 to really take the reins now of this 3rd map so far.
Version 1 looking good on the attacking side. BBG is running out of space because Version 1 just keeps winning round after round, getting closer and closer to that closing point. Penny's going to cap off the 4K, surviving with 33 HP. And the next round should be solid for them as well because the buy coming in from BBG is not good. Now, they do have 4 ults currently, and they could try to go for orb control to get that 5th if they really wanted to for Rarkar. But I'm kind of figuring out like which one's going to have the most value here. It's going to be Will's ult, that showstopper. They need Will to really get a high-impact showstopper ult, which he has struggled to find on this map. You can see actually even his stat line currently sitting at the bottom of the scoreboard right now. Lockdown could have value in a post-plant scenario, but with the way that the map plays out, I feel like Lockdown is maybe not as useful on the defensive side as it can be on the attack, just because of the way the map breaks down.
And see where he's positioned too for Will. So he doesn't want to be in an angle where, hey, I'm going to try to go very aggressively to try to get a showstopper kill. It's like, let's try to work that utility that we have set up towards the A side and then try to run it after once they get into the site potentially. But the thing is, for version 1, they've conditioned BBG that they're always working towards this A side. This time it's only player 1 on that A ramp. The rest of them are working up towards this B heaven where Rarkar's in such a tough position. He only has a sheriff. He got paranoid. He's got a couple of guiding lights to try to slow down if he can. But for the rest, they're just holding things up. I like it. They actually they went from the shadows into B, and that's going to slow down version 1 on how fast they want to go in this hit.
30 seconds left.
Vanity wins the close range duel with Rarkar. You've still got Poach on site, and it just doesn't stand a chance. Eppies goes wide with the swing. There's the shotgun, and oh man. That felt like that's perfect shotgun range. That's when the shotgun should work.
That felt like 2.06.
I mean, based on the way that just happened, that's when I feel like the shotgun should have value.
Yeah.
Point blank range makes perfect sense, but it just doesn't pan out. And it's looking like this map won't pan out well for BBG in the end. They looked great in map 1, at least in the first half. Version 1 started to fire back. Got it close, but ended up losing. Second map, BBG almost won. Look back at that second map now, and you're going, oh my god, they were so close. They were one round away from 2-0ing this and not even having to play split. And now they go to split, and it's clear that this was just not a map that plays to their strengths, as they're currently down 12-6, and they've surrendered site control again here to version 1. But as I say that, they get a couple of key kills, and they keep themselves in the game very much so.
Oh! Vanity's the last one to go, and that's going to be it. BBG is able to stay alive. I was going to say, glimpse of hope right now for BBG is that, yes, despite them having a low buy, they still had 4 ults. So getting that Seeker out right away from Rarkar, again, to get that information for this agent, for the team, for BBG, worked out in their favor. And it allowed for those judges and those Buckies, to get those picks. And now they still have 3 ults to work with. So a very crucial res that Critical could have. They have a showstopper from Will. Yes, hasn't connected too much, but you want to look at those impact frags. This could be the moment where they can start getting things done in their favor, and of course the lockdown for the retake. So let's see if it's going to work out. We've changed the pace for version 1. We're dashing across the site for Penny, and we're just trying to get map control that gets fully denied by Rarkar, already at 2 ult points away from another Seeker.
Oh, Poach in a great position to get a couple kills. Tries to port away, knowing that the threat is waiting right around the corner. Player 1 trying to jump up, but can't because that ice slowing down his vertical movement somehow. You know, I struggle to jump on ice too. I guess
if you're from Canada like me, I mean, it's pretty simple.
You guys wear cleats all the time though, because you're used to the ice so much. You need to like dig your feet, and you've got like snowshoes on.
Oh, it's actually it grows out of my own feet.
Oh, you don't even wear shoes.
Yeah.
You've got like some sort of like you've got like nails growing out of the bottom of your feet. Interesting. You learn something new every day, chat.
This is a huge res that's going to come out, though. It's going to be a 2v2 that could still make it winnable, but the showstopper, I told you, we needed some impact showstoppers. There it is. You seal the deal, you get the round there for BBG, and that's good enough.
He knew exactly what was coming. As soon as he hears that res, he's like, there is no way in hell I am letting you get this res off. Pulls out the rocket and fires it right on target, perfectly placed. And even though he's struggling in comparison to what he's done in previous maps, that ult does keep BBG alive. If they allow that res, it's a 2-on-2. I mean, that's very much winnable for version 1, especially with the way we've seen them play in similar scenarios already throughout this third map and throughout the series as well. This game is not over yet. We were ready to write them off. It looked like the game was done. But BBG, again, has a lot of staying power. We saw this from them in that second map where they almost closed it out. There is a lot of fight in them. And they're keeping themselves alive. They're 4 rounds away from forcing overtime.
This is going to be a crucial fight right now, and Poach just takes it. That's going to be a big one. So the Lurk is already down. They could stack up towards this B heaven side. Again, Rarkar's in a great position to get this kill. Oh no, he gets the guiding light out in the open and it saves him. But his teammates fell behind him. He dies as well. Things are looking grim now for BBG. Critical has to come up huge. He's going to eat those pain shells. Only good for 1. And it might be over here, Buck.
Yeah, this is going to be difficult.
Oh!
Oh no! That's a huge peek. He actually runs through the ice and goes for it. The Killjoy ult as well keeps them pushed back just a bit. Now the ice is faded. Pure goes for a swing. That's a massive kill. It's now down to a 1v1, but it's Vanity who comes out on top. Version 1 take the series 2-1.